And Bill Stevens is with that 4-time winner named John Force.
And a 12-time Powerade champion in funny car. John, you've won the race before, but every single Labor Day, there's got to be all kinds of things going through your mind.
Well, it's the 50th anniversary of the MAC2 U.S. Nationals, and everything is crazy and wild, and what John Force needs to do is settle down. And you know, yesterday was for the Bucks and the ego, and Gary Dincham got it for AAA, but today is for the championship. I need every round I can to stay ahead of Selzy and Bazemore and Worsham, and we really need to focus. And the fans are really working great with me today and giving me the time to work on the tree. So I'll be okay. Just a little stress, going to be okay.
John just told me he did not sleep that well last night. Dave Reef?
Bill Warren Johnson made his pro stock debut in 1971. Today he will make his 29th start at the 50th U.S. Nationals. Warren, what are you thinking about?
Just seeing how effective we can be with this GM Performance Parts Grand Am out there. It's coming back around. As you know, we were a little off on the setup here for a few races, but it's coming back. It's
been a little bit tricky this weekend, too. One really good pass. Can you duplicate that performance and win here today?
Well, we hope we can even step up the performance from that run. We think we can, but time will tell.
With 6 U.S. Nationals win, he is the winningest active driver today as we go now to Parker Johnstone.
Dave, Indianapolis Raceway Park, it's a special track because it's home of the U.S. Nationals. 3-time champ Tony Schumacher knows being the 3-time U.S. Nationals champ has historical importance. What are your emotions? What are you feeling on this day?
I'm just excited. It's such a huge race for us, not only because it's the 50th, but also we're in a points race here. We got 3 tough cars going into the final 6 races. This is a big one. This one's going to set the tone for the rest of the year, and it's just so important for us. It's great to start the show with the U.S. Army team. We're just hoping, praying to God that we can end with the same team. Right here, the U.S. Army team, it'd be a 4th win. It's way bigger than me. It's about a team, and our team has been so good all year long. This one would mean more than the world.
He looks calm on the outside, but all these drivers on the inside, Marty, amped up and ready for the big go.
Absolutely. Thanks, Parker. And Tony's going to start from the number 2 spot as we take a look at the top fuel ladder presented by Lucas Oil. You can see Doug Coletta, he's got point, and the arrow indicates that he's got the lane choice, as does Clay Milliken, Doug, and Larry Dixon. Over on the other side, there is Tony Schumacher over Mike Strasberg, Corey McClellan over Morgan Lucas, Scott Coletta, and Brandon Bernstein have lane choice as well. Now, who did we send home in top fuel? Well, how about last year's pole sitter? David Baca, Scott Wise, Scott Palmer, Bob Vandergrift, John Smith, and the legendary Chris Karamazines. You know, earlier this year, we lost a great driver and an even better friend in Darrell Russell. The U.S. Nationals is always an important race, but this year it has been a chance for Darrell's family to make their first return to the track and to return to the arms of their drag racing family.
I just wanted to see everybody and thank everybody for being there for me. I missed the racing. I enjoyed it. I loved it because Darrell loved it.
We feel like we're with our family here at the races, and we just have to accept what's happened and honor Darrell and be very proud of everything that he's done and accomplished.
I think it's just a memorial tribute that we want to give to Darrell and to thank all the fans that are out here.
I try to keep busy. My family has been wonderful. You know, friends and family help me get through it all. And eventually, I think I'll be okay.
And there's the family, as we said, their first time back to the track, and Mike Dunn trying to turn that negative into a positive. They're telling everybody it's time to move forward.
Yeah, and it's great to see the family and the team moving out here racing in memories, in Darrell Russell's memory. And it'd be, that pretty much tells you what the U.S. Nationals means, because Darrell Russell, obviously, like all of us, loved drag racing, and he really loved Indy and the U.S. Nationals. He was lucky enough to win it in 1997 in Top Alcohol Dragster. And it would be great today if that team with Morgan Lucas could come away with a win here in his memory.
And let's talk to team owner Joe Amato. He's with Dave Reef.
That's right, Joe Amato, a 3-time U.S. Nationals champion, also the winningest top fuel driver. Joe, what are you thinking about as we approach eliminations here at the 50th U.S. Nationals?
Well, I'm just realizing that this has been the 50th anniversary, and I'm I guess, overpowered by what's gone on here this weekend, seeing some of the nostalgia cars and the history of the sport. It's a big shot in the arm for drag racing right now. But it's also an emotional time for Joe Mata. You know, we've had a traumatic year and with Morgan Lucas and our new program, and then we had an issue yesterday where we sat out the last run, so the team's really been on an emotional roller coaster. You know, Darrell's wife is here and the whole family, and we're going to do a special feature on the starting line. And so it's been a very traumatic weekend, but hopefully Wayne and the boys pulled it together this morning. They've been tough. They sat out the run yesterday because we had a little problem, and hopefully they're going to get it together this morning.
How prepared is this team for today now?
Well, I think you know, he's confident. They woke up and he had a good night's sleep, and he's been having some trouble. It's just been a traumatic timing for the whole team, but hopefully we want to win the U.S. Nationals. And he told me this morning we're going to go out and win, and they know they've got a bad guy on their hands, Corey Mack. That's a good team. They made a great run last night, but I think we get everything right, we can whip them.
Wish you the best today. Glad you're here.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Let's turn our attention to Funny Car, and you can take a look and see John Force. There he is, a very familiar spot. 9th time on the pole here at Indy. He's got lane choice over Jim Head. Johnny Grave matches up with teammate Gary Selzy. The other guys with lane choice, Cruz Pedregon and Eric Medlin. Over on the other side, there is the guy who won the Skull Showdown yesterday, Gary Dencham. He could double up if he wins today. Another 50,000. Could walk out of here with over 250,000 total for the weekend. Phil Burkhardt, Tony Pedregon, and Whit Bazemore also have lane choice in first round. Now, who do we send home in Funny Car? Well, Bob Gilbertson, Bob Bodie, Frank Pedregon making his first return in 11 months, and Jerry Tolliver, a regular on tour, on the list as well. We're about 23 minutes away from the start of first round action. There is Morgan Lucas, the young man we were talking about, the nerves, the butterflies, as he tries to get ready, and Darrell Russell's wife, Julie, right there. We've got to take a commercial break. When we come back, we're going to focus on second-generation racers and talk about how they have fared compared to Dad.
Party in today's Powerade Power Time feature, second-generation drivers who have had success here in the U.S. Nationals reminisce about what it was like growing up in a racing family and memories here at the Big Go.
I must have been probably 5 years old, maybe 6 years old. And my father was racing in pro comp, so I was probably 6 years old. And I remember it just being hotter than all get out. And at the time, you know, the staging lanes wrapped just as they do today, clear back into the pro pits. And there were so many alcohol cars there because we were clear back around the bend, and then we get closer, and then we get closer. And it felt like, I remember it being well over 100 degrees, and it probably wasn't, but we kept dipping our T-shirts into the nice drinking cooler to cool off. And you know, all four of us running around with a couple of our friends. It's had a memorable time.
My dad he raced Top Fuel, but he never did the full tour, but the one race we always hit was Indy. And I can remember being we had a station wagon and a pull-along trailer that we hauled a Top Fuel car in, and, you know, believe it or not, I'd sleep on the cooler that was in the back because you couldn't sleep on the seats because it was all full of, you know, my mom and his crew guys and all that stuff, and it'd take 3 days to get to Indy. And then once you got there, you know, everybody went through tech at the same deal, and it took another day to go through tech before you got, you know, into park. But I mean, everybody and their brother and their mother and sister came to Indy. You know, if you had a top, I mean, there was 70 Top Fuel cars when I was a kid that would show up. It was just it was it, and you knew that if you came out on top at Indy, that you were the best car in the country at that moment.
We used to go there all the time with my dad. After he was done racing, he had retired, and we'd actually park at the finish line in the left lane, right where the Diamond P used to park. And they used to sit there in our Winnebago, and it was a Winnebago back then, was right behind the cameras. And I mean, Tim Gross would go out and he'd run, and he used to be my dad's crew chief. He'd make a run, and he'd pull the car back and, you know, have a bad day or something, hop up on the Winnebago, and we'd watch the cars run from the finish line. You gotta remember, that was a long time ago. That was before we had blower restraints. So these cars would come through in the lights and lift the blower off, and there'd be 17 guys up on top of this motorhome watching this blower go up, wondering where it was gonna land.
Well, now all three sons can add their own special memories. They are all U.S. national champions. It is the fulfillment of a dream that every drag racer has.
I really felt like I cheated the system, you know, because I mean, I won it in my rookie year. You know, I mean, there's, you know, drivers that go on, you know, years, you know, that even at the time, you know, Earnhardt trying to win Daytona and hadn't done it in multiple years. And then here we go through. I mean, we didn't over-dominate anybody, but we ran like 490s all day long and won Indy. And it was just like, wow, like we won Indy with me driving before I could even think about how long it would be before I could win Indy.
To win my first Indy was, I was really focused, had a great run, finished going into the night, which was pretty odd for Indy at the time. And I remember pulling my street roadster in, you know, into the winner's circle, into the checkers there, and Wally Parks was there to greet us. So that's probably the thing I remember most about my first win is having my family in the winner's circle with me and Wally there to shake our hands and, you know, enjoy the moment with us.
To go a career and not have Indy, I'm very lucky that I can say that will not be the case. You know, we've had 3 chances to win. We've had 4 chances in the final. We've won 3 of those, and my career is still very young. Hopefully we'll have many more chances to win the race. But you know what? I feel bad for some of the people that have never had the chance to do it because I know how great it feels. And I hope that other people, I hope they don't take it from me, but I hope other people have the chance to get that great feeling.
And take a look at the record by the sons over dads. Don Schumacher won once here at the U.S. Nationals. Tony has won 3, as we pointed out. And Larry Dixon Jr. and Jed Coughlin Jr. have each won twice. And if you think there's a 3rd generation, well, yes, all 3 have either sons, daughters, or both. Now we're live, and you're looking at the staging lanes about 14 minutes away from those 8,000 horsepower top fuel engines. Corey Mack trying to chill out a little bit as he's listening to a few tunes. And look at the grandstands. Every day it has been a standing room only crowd, and we are getting ready for more here at the Mac Tools U.S. Nationals. When we come back, we'll talk to Roland Leong. He's been involved at Indy for over 30 years.
U.S. Nationals.
All it takes is all you've got.
Winning is everything.
Back here live at the Indianapolis Raceway Park for the 50th running of the Mac Tools U.S. Nationals. The crowd continues to file in. We're getting closer to the start of first round action. You know, over 1,000 racers came here in both the pro and sportsman categories. That just shows you how big this event really is. Crew chiefs out checking the track. There's Tim Richards, but right now let's go to Parker.
Marty, Morgan Lucas filled with emotion, not only because he's a rookie in top fuel, but certainly not a rookie at the U.S. Nationals, and also because he's filling in the seat of Darrell Russell. What's going through your heart right now?
Well, I mean, I have a lot of excitement to get to race the U.S. Nationals. You know, it's the 50th anniversary, but this weekend's had a lot of ups and downs. You know, I mean, Darrell's family is here, and they're coming out to support, and it's really hard for me because Darrell's a lot of the reason I got involved in the sport, and to get to see his family and realize how strong they are and how strong this team is and what they're going through, it makes you think about a lot of things, and I'm really excited to get to come do this, and I hope we get to go do good for them and their family and his wife and everybody today because it really means a lot to me, and I think this whole team, and do a lot of good for everybody, put some smiles on some faces.
Marty, a lot in the heart and the head of this young man.
He is one of 5 first-time qualifiers in top fuel. That's right, almost a third of the field making their first ever U.S. National start. You know, Roland Leong has been in the sport since the 1960s. This won't be his first start by a long shot. Bill Stevens had a chance to sit down with the man now responsible for Ron Capps' funny car.
Well, I guess you might say I kind of grew up with the sport and not really realizing it along the years because we were just doing what we really loved to do. And I guess every morning I wake up and I say, wow, you know, I can still do this. And to do something that I guess you always dreamed of as a kid and be able to support a family send your kids to college and all that, and still be here doing it, makes me feel very, very good.
How did you learn how to tune a race car?
I don't think you really learn, okay? At the time we're young, we want to do this so bad. It was a time where we couldn't afford to hire anybody. You know, thank God we had friends that would go with us and work on these things for free. And I wouldn't say it was more like a play time, but it was not, the atmosphere wasn't as what it is today with the big sponsor, no, that's for sure, you know. And I guess you just persevere is the word I can say.
After a second tour of duty, tuning for his friend Don the Snake Prudhomme in the late 1990s, Roland took a break from the hurly-burly of nitro drag racing.
Yes, I did miss it. I mean, I've been doing this all my life. This is all I feel I know. And again, I got a lot of friends out here, so I kept up with everything, every race, every time. Like I told somebody the other day, I was the best on-trail quarterback there was. I'd watched the race and the guy smoked that. I said, I knew he was going to do that. You know? But yes, I missed it a lot. But I wanted an opportunity, like I say, the biggest opportunity I want is to hopefully have the chance to win a world championship. And whether I can do it in 1 year, or because it takes a lot. It takes a good team. It just takes a good combination of people, parts, and money.
Your team owner and friend Don Prudhomme once said on camera that if you haven't won Indy, you haven't won anything. Do you agree with that?
Yes, I do. Because Indianapolis is, as far as drag race is concerned, the biggest race of the year for us. Just like the Indy 500 is the biggest race of the year, Indy for drag racing is the biggest race for us.
Talk about your first trip to Indy, 1965, as a car owner, and whether or not you appreciated the immensity of that event back then.
I think I did, but that was a long time ago. Prudhomme and I were on tour, and leaving the shop, the big joke was kind of like the blind leading the blind, you know, because neither Prudhomme or myself were that experienced as far as going out there and trying to do what we wanted to do, or you know, win a lot of races. Well, I think at the time we won probably 90% of all the match races we had. This is from probably May through September. And then we end up at Indy. Well, of course, Keith Black flew to Indy and gave us a hand there, but just winning something like that in that year was just unbelievable.
And here is Roland's record here at the U.S. Nationals in 33 races. He has gone to the winner's circle 3 times, and he has also won the Skull Showdown 3 times. In fact, let's talk to his current driver, Ron Capps. He's with Dave Reef.
In fact, Roland took this man a couple of times to the Skull Showdown winner's circle here at Indianapolis. But, Ron, the question, can Roland get you to that U.S. Nationals trophy that you want?
I hope so. We all hope so, but it's hard to explain about guys like Roland, and I tell people all the time, and even though he's been out of the sport a little bit, there's certain guys that know how to race a car, and when you say race on Sunday or for here in Indy on Monday, it's not just going up and making your best run or low ET that round. There's certain guys that know how to race, and it comes to eliminations. For a driver, it gives you a lot of confidence, but even though really a lot of the technology now he may have been out of, but it didn't take him long to get back, and there's nobody I'd rather have up there standing behind the car when I'm staging, especially here at U.S. Nationals.
Special relationship on a special day. Parker?
Dave, we're so used to watching Brandon Bernstein win races and fight for the Top Fuel Championship, we may forget that he's a rookie here in Top Fuel in the U.S. Nationals. Are you excited? Are you nervous?
I'm not nervous, just really excited. You know, we're right there. This Budweiser Lucas Oil team is poised to strike today. We're right with these guys, and we're gonna see what we can do. I'm just excited to get ready, to get started.
How's that for confidence for a young man there, Marty?
Yeah, well, I see him bouncing, and I got to tell you, I'm nervous, and I'm sitting in
Marty
here.
said he watched you bounce.
We're just a few moments away. When we come back, it'll be time to light those engines and erupt as we shake the earth at the 50th running of the Mac Tools U.S. Nationals. Drivers already strapped in the cockpits. David Grubnick and Clay Millican will be first up when we come back. to this storied, legendary event.
Winners are crowned all season, but legends are made of the U.S. Nationals.
The NHRA, formed in 1951 to bring street racers together in a safer racing environment. At first, the racing was only at the local and regional levels, but by 1955, fields were growing, and the NHRA needed a national championship, one race to attract the very best. Its name, the U.S. Nationals. The first U.S. Nationals was held at the geographical center of the country in Great Bend, Kansas. And in 1961, the Nationals moved to the brand new Indianapolis Raceway Park. Calvin Rice won the first U.S. Nationals with a 10.3-second pass down the quarter mile at 143 miles an hour. Last year, winner Tony Schumacher made that same trip in 4.4 seconds at 3:28. Technology has changed vastly during the last half-century, but the U.S. Nationals has not. It is still drag racing's biggest stage. Tradition makes these drivers and teams dig deeper, looking for that extra thousandth of a second or just one more horsepower that will allow them to say, I won the U.S. Nationals. For 50 years, every NHRA driver has been chasing the dream of winning the U.S. Nationals, and for 4, that dream will become reality today. Welcome to the U.S. Nationals. We're live at the Back Tools U.S. Nationals, and the engines are about to come to life. 8,000 horsepower for Clay Millican and David Grubnick. And you're the very first pair sitting in the cockpit. You've been there throughout the national anthem, the invocation. Mike Dunn, what is churning in their stomachs?
Well, think about the nerves. I guarantee you both these drivers were very nervous before the run, especially David Grubnick. First pair out the 50th U.S. Nationals. He got beat on a hole shot the last race against Clay Millican, so he's feeling it right now, Marty.
Get ready to rock the earth. I don't know about you, Mike. I have got goosebumps. I seriously do. Let's take a look at the top fuel ladder presented by Lucas Oil. It is Doug Coletta with the lane choice over Bruce Litton's. Clay Millican has lane choice in his first matchup over David Grubnick. Also having lane choice, Doug Herbert and Larry Dixon. Over on the other side, it is Tony Schumacher, Corey McLenithan, Scott Coletta, and Brandon Bernstein with this first round lane choice. As we get ready for Clay Millican and David Grubnick, let's get a quick ad from Bill Stevens.
You know, these racers got here early this past week. It's the longest event, not only the biggest event of the year, and they've been working toward this moment. You can ask Mike Dunn. No racer wants to lose in the first round of the U.S. Nationals. It is devastating no matter who you are after all the work it took to get here in the first place.
Absolutely right. You see the numbers on David Grubnick. The only thing he's thinking about is that hole shot that we mentioned a little bit earlier.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely been on his mind. You know, he's been taking it pretty hard and been real hard on himself. So, you know, that tells me it's in his head. But I mean, what he has to do is get it out of his head. Treat this as any other race. But let me tell you something, Marty. A lot of times that's a lot easier said than done.
And the win light to Clay Millican, 5.03 seconds. It's his first round win here at Indy at the U.S. Nationals for Clay. And for David Grubnick, he loses again to Millican. But what's even worse is he's going to go back to the trailer realizing the national anthem lasted longer than he did.
This is a tough break because he was really on a good run, had good early numbers. He was ahead of Clay at this point right here, and then just started spinning the tires and backfired the supercharger at that point. Even though he saw Clay out there spin the tires, he couldn't get back on the throttle because his day was done right there.
And there is Clay. I guarantee you better get ready for a long interview if we turn the mic over to him. He is going to be amped up all day long. Now, back at the starting line, we get ready for our next matchup. It is Morgan Lucas. You're looking at him right there as he has a very tough first-round opponent. There is Morgan's mom, Charlotte Lucas. Wayne Dupuis, the crew chief. Corey McClenathan is the guy that they're going to line up against. Side-by-side burnouts as the two-time Indy winner, Corey McClenathan, and the man in his first ever pro race at Indy, Morgan Lucas. Now there is Clay Walker, who is a personal friend of Darrell's and the family's, and this was just prior to us going on the air live here during the commercial break, as there was a tribute to Darrell in front of the thousands of fans here. And as we mentioned, Clay, a very good friend of the family, and they asked if he would do the honor, and he did a wonderful rendition of the national anthem. It's got to be hard for Morgan to try and focus now on this first-round matchup.
Yeah, it definitely is. There's obviously a lot on his mind. His first professional debut at the U.S. Nationals in this car. But I'll tell you, Morgan has a lot of talent. He really understands the car. He's getting a good feel for it. But he's got a tough competitor in that other lane. Corey Mack, two-time Indy champion. He knows how to drive a race car also.
Well, and as we look at Corey, remember, Morgan did win here last year in top alcohol dragster, so he knows what it's like to taste victory. But still, the butterflies, the nerves, everything that goes in to the fact that it is the U.S. Nationals. Look how nervous Mother Charlotte is. Wayne Dupuis making the last adjustments. Morgan will be in the right lane. And Morgan Lucas has won his first round as a pro. 4.666. Look at Mom. Dave Reef.
Wayne Dupuis, crew chief of this effort. It's been a trying weekend already. How important, how nice was that?
How about that? We wanted to run low 60, but we saw Grubnick smoke the tire down there a little bit. And how about that Lucas Oil Keystone Automotive deal? Went right on down there, run 319 miles an hour, and hopefully the tires look good. We're going to round 2. The big go, Indy, baby.
Can you tell he's a little amped up? And I guarantee you he is breathing a huge sigh of relief. They had a tire chunk on him yesterday, did a little damage to the wing strut. They were a little cautious, decided to sit out that last qualifying session. There is Julie, Darrell's widow. She's happy. The team is moving on into the second round, and I guarantee you that man right there, we'll talk to him in just a second. Do you remember, Mike Dunn, what it was like when you won your first round win at Indy at the Big Go?
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty huge. I think it was 1986. I don't think I'd ever won a round because I missed 84 and 85, sat out, which was a big deal to sit out and come here and watch the race in 1985. Saw John Lombardo and Blue Max win the race, wondering if I was ever going to get a chance again, and then be able to come back and win the race in 86 was just a thrill of a lifetime.
Up next, it'll be Brandon Bernstein and Brady Calavoda. And Brandon will be in the left lane as we go to the far end to talk to Morgan Lucas. You're shaking.
I am shaking. I told myself, get through this one. This is going to be the tough one. Because Corey, I've looked up to him pretty much my whole life growing up in this stuff. Because, I mean, he's just always been that person. When I was little, that wheel I got from Darrell, one of the first autographs I got on was Corey. So it's really impressive. And thank you, Lucas Oil, Driver FX, Keystone, DZ, Mac Tools, especially Mac Tools for all the stuff they're doing out here. And I can't thank all you guys enough. I'm so excited. I can't wait to get out here and do this again.
Come back to the starting line. There you see Brandon Bernstein's numbers. Remember, he is another of the first-time competitors here. He was injured this time last year. Kenny, his father, ran the race. Brady Calavoda, the third first-timer. We have 5 total in Top Fuel, a full third of the field.
And you saw Brady's numbers. They were pretty good there. You know, Brandon Bernstein cannot take this team lightly.
Well, you saw the tire smoke for Brady Calavoda. He wasn't too nervous, was he? He went in and staged it deep and then put it into huge tire smoke. Brandon Bernstein goes 4.67 seconds. He even dropped a cylinder. Up next, it'll be Larry Dixon, and that lady right there, Rhonda Hartman-Smith. We're We're back here live at the 50th anniversary edition of the Mac Tools U.S. Nationals at Indianapolis Raceway Park, and we are getting ready for the two-time Indy winner. And it's Larry Dixon, his car owner, Don the Snake Verdone, and Rhonda Hartman-Smith. She has only beaten Larry once in 16 head-to-head meetings. Guess where it was? First round right here at Indy in 1997.
But Larry Dixon had the best car in qualifying down the racetrack in all different kinds of conditions, running very good numbers. But you know what, Marty? Qualifying's over. It's time to race.
That was Larry's only ever first round loss here at the Big Go. Well, you saw Larry huffing and puffing, but he got the job done. 4.97 seconds to a tire smoking 589 for Rhonda Hartman-Smith. That's her dad, Virgil, as he head back towards the pit. Let's take another look at the run.
Yeah, this is why Larry Dixon makes the big bucks. Watch this. He gets to jump off the starting line. 0.86 reaction time, a good light. The car's accelerating very hard. At this point, he's going to start spinning the tires. Watch him. Going to backpedal that thing one time, start spinning the tires again, puts a cylinder out. Got it to recover enough to get to the other end and into the second round.
And there is Larry at the far end of the racetrack. Knows that he has survived round one. Takes a look at the engine to see if there's any serious damage. And back at the starting line, the next pair already coming to life. You're looking at TJ Zizzo. He's 28 years old from Round Lake, Illinois. Talk about nerves. He's got to go up against Doug Herbert. Herbert's gone to the finals twice here at the Big Go. Back in 1992 and 93. He has yet to seal the deal and win it. Zizzo will be over in the right lane. And there's Doug Herbert in the left lane. Let's go to the far end of Bill.
Hey, Larry Dixon, you big manly two-time U.S. Nationals and Powerade champion. You weren't nervous before that round, were you?
You're always nervous. You're nervous a little bit at any race, but then Indy, man, you don't want to go out first round. Rhonda's beat us here before, so, I mean, that's still in my memory. I think in NASCAR terms, I think I got the Lucky Dog Award.
And we know what he means.
It's amazing how you drivers remember these things. There you see TJ. Proud to be a new daddy. You know, we need to get an update on John Force's daughter, Adra. Yesterday, he was telling us that anytime this weekend, he could become a grandfather for the first time. It's going to be a little girl. John was quoted in the paper saying, Forces don't have boys. He's got all daughters.
Well, you know, TJ Zizzo, let me tell you, Doug Herbert and Ed McCullough cannot take him lightly. That car went down the racetrack every single run. Now, it only ran between a 470 and a 475. But let me tell you something. Ed McCullough and Doug Herbert, they made two really good runs in the evening. TJ Zizzo's slowest run of the weekend would have beat any of their runs in the heat. So they got to get this thing together. This is not a gimme for Doug Herbert, even though he out-qualified from a 457 to a 470.
And TJ Zizzo goes 4.70 seconds. Even though Herbert went deep, it didn't help him at all as TJ picks up his first ever round win in Top Fuel, and he does it at the Big Go, and they're already checking the numbers to see exactly where the run went wrong.
Well, I mean, this is a bracket car. TJ Zizzo stuck in that 470 range, pretty much matched his qualifying run of a 470, and he really even didn't need that. Herbert went in deep, like you said, Martin, but he was still 200 of a second behind TJ Zizzo, and at 60 feet, he was quite a ways behind, and boy, TJ Zizzo at that point was just pulling away from Doug, and all he could do was look out the right side of that car and watch him get beat.
So now we've had 4 drivers win their first round of competition at Indy here this year. And we get ready for our next pair, and there is Andrew Cowan. That is Scott Kalita. We'll talk more about these two, but let's go to the far end of Bill.
TJ Zizzo from Illinois. We spoke to you a few races ago. You had a baby daughter born premature. Everything at home is fine now.
Yeah.
But you just won the first round of the U.S. Nationals.
I'll tell you, Maddie, Jennifer, you guys are the best. Champion Packaging, Torco Racing Fuel, Peak Global. I can't do it without all you guys. I went out there. This is the first time I've been to the U.S. Nationals. And in a fuel car, nonetheless. And we go out there and we win first round. God, I love this sport. Drink your Powerade out there, okay?
He's an old pro. These interviews.
Doing just fine, thank you, Bill. As you look into the cockpit of Andrew Cowan, we talked about the fact this 24-year-old, 18 months ago, fell from a platform and was given no better than a 50-50 chance of living, let alone ever coming back to racing. But here he is, making his return to the U.S. Nationals, and he's got a tough customer, Scott Coletta, the number 3 qualifier.
Well, and you know, given the fact of what you just talked about with Andrew coming back from that, he might be the most relaxed guy in this event, because something like that can definitely put your whole life in perspective, but he definitely wants to win this race.
Scott Coletta goes 4.66 seconds, 320 miles an hour. You saw Andrew. He was actually right there with him to half track, and then the cylinder started dropping. That 466 is the quickest run of this first round of racing for Scott Coletta. We've got more live action from the Mac Tools U.S. Nationals when we come back. Back live here at the U.S. Nationals. It's Mike Strasburg, right lane. Tony Schumacher in the left. And Tony makes easy work of it. Look at the number. 4.55 seconds, 325 miles an hour. That is by far the quickest run of this first round of competition. Let's take another look.
This is probably the best run of the weekend. I mean, this is in the hot conditions. I mean, it's not real cool out there, folks. And he goes out there. I mean, that thing went 309 to the 8th mile at almost 270 miles per hour. Alan Johnson was definitely not bashful on that run. It stuck and made a great pass.
You think that, yeah, you can hear what the sergeant's saying. It hauled, and I can't say what he said after that. Dave Reef?
Tony Schumacher will next get this man, Morgan Lucas, in the second round. And you look at Morgan Lucas's eyes, look at any of the eyes of any of the crew members here on this Joe Amato racing team. One thing that you will see a lot of is relief. Remember, they had some issues yesterday with some tires. Wayne Dupuis said, I'm going to put brand new ones on for each and every run. But heading up to the starting line this weekend, this was a very nervous team. Didn't know what they could expect today, but what they got is a good solid 466 at 319 miles an hour. A good-looking set of Goodyear slicks that came off of this car. It's a brand new set going on. Wayne Dupuis got some hop in his step. This entire team has some hop in their step, and what a better place and a better time than Indianapolis right now to have that feeling.
Thank you, Dave. And there you can see the sticker on the tires as we get ready for our final first round matchup here at Top Fuel at the 50th running of the Big Go. It is Doug Coletta, the pole sitter, up against Bruce Litton, who literally has his race shop at the far end of this racetrack. If he goes straight, crosses the railroad tracks and Route 136, he could be there in about, 6 seconds instead of 4.5. Now, let's talk about Doug, because here's an interesting fact about the Mac Tools U.S. Nationals. You know, in 49 prior runnings, the pole sitter has only ever won the event twice.
That's an amazing stat there, Marty.
Parker?
Always a lot of pressure on these drivers, especially at the U.S. Nationals. Mike, with the sponsor being Mac Tools, and it is the Mac Tools U.S. Nationals, a lot more requirements on Doug Coletta's time for appearance. How will that affect his performance?
You know, Parker, sometimes it actually might make it easier, because Doug probably had to do so many appearances and so many functions that he had to go to. Now he's just away from all that, and it's actually kind of comforting to just sit and get in the car and focus on doing your job.
Did you see the reaction time for Doug as 0-1-0, and then he runs 4.78 seconds at 313 miles an hour. You saw Bruce Litton having trouble going up in smoke. So as we take a look at the ladder, think about this. Only Larry Dixon and Tony Schumacher have won this event before in Top Fuel. Everybody else is looking for their first win at the Big Go. The arrow indicates who has lane choices. When we come back, it'll be time for Funny Car first round. John Force, well, he lost yesterday to teammate Gary Densham. Can he make up for it today? Back live here at the 50th anniversary of the Mac Tools U.S. Nationals. First round of funny car. In the left lane, it is Phil Burkhardt. And in the right lane, it is Ron Capps. We're glad you're with us here. I'm Marty Reed, along with Mike Dunn, Bill Stevens, Dave Reef, and Parker Johnstone, as we get ready to see who advances to second round action. Yeah, showed you right before we went on the live portion of our broadcast. Roland Leong, the crew chief for Capps. Oh, and Ronnie. You saw him go up in tire smoke as Phil goes 4.92 seconds, 312 miles an hour. Capps was out on him, but then the tire smoke, and that was all she wrote.
Yeah, tough break for Ron Capps and that team. You know, Ron Capps, like you said, got the advantage off of the starting line. Was still pretty close, actually ahead at this point, and then about 330-foot clock, or about 300 feet, right about there, is going to start spinning the tires just before the 330 cone, and that thing starts hazing, and then, boy, it basically just jumped up and smoked the tires right at that point. He tried to backpedal, get to recover, but Phil Burkhardt was on a very good pass.
And for Ron Capps, the guy who has won the Skull Showdown twice, he has now lost 3 years in a row in first round come race day on Monday. Here is the Funny Car Ladder presented by Lucas Oil, and the arrow indicates John Force and Johnny Gray. Cruz Pedregon and Eric Medlin have lane choice on one side, and then over on the other, we saw that Phil Burkhardt is advanced. Gary Densham going to try and double up. If he does win today, he pockets another $50,000 from the NHRA. And you saw the arrows indicating lane choices for everybody else. Now, that is a helmet cam for Cruz Pedregon. And is attached to his helmet, not the frame of the car. And boy, we have seen just how violent it gets for you guys in the cockpit.
Oh, and I love that shot. I mean, this is a pretty accurate shot of what Cruz Pedregon's looking at. I mean, he's just a little bit right of center, obviously, because it's on the side of the helmet, but pretty close. And you can watch his head move as he popped the roof hatch up. He's looking down. You can see his helmet go down when he stopped from the burnout, reaching for reverse. Head goes up, pops the roof hatch open. As he starts backing up, he's watching the guy in front. He's lining him up. Whichever way he points, he's going to turn the wheel that way to line up right in them tracks to be in the best rubber to try to get a good run here.
Well, and Cruz loves Indy. I mean, he's a three-time winner and one of only 3 funny car drivers to win Indy back-to-back, and he's in some pretty elite company. Ace McCullough and a guy by the name of Don the Snake Redone.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, Del Worsham right here wants to keep that from happening. You know, Cruz winning another race. You look at Del's wife right there, but Del Worsham's a good racer. They've been struggling a little bit here. Normally in the heat like this is the kind of conditions he loves. But I'll tell you, this is a good matchup with Cruz.
This is Del's 500th round of competition. I know he doesn't want to go out on a losing note. Here we go. Goes 4.91 seconds. White Sharon really likes it. 314 miles an hour. And something about Cruz Pedregon in this racetrack, they seem to always raise their game.
Yeah, you know, his crew chief Wes certainly also loves this racetrack in Indy and has done a good job. Look at that onboard. I mean, your head pulls up. That's why they wear those straps, is that thing's accelerating about 4 to 5 G's off the starting line. This was a nice run for these conditions. I think they just did a good job. Cruz was even in a little bit deep, so, you know, that kind of adds to your reaction time, or takes away from your reaction time, adds to your lap time a little bit. So in reality, that was probably a 489 or 490 pass. So, I mean, they really had the tune-up for that run.
And we're not going to be focusing a lot on points today, but the importance of this single event. But for Del Worsham, who's 4th in the points, well, this just about puts a nail in the coffin. There is Cruz climbing out, and let's go to Bill.
Phil Burkhardt, you just saw what happened to Del. It's all on you now.
Yeah, I know. We're facing a bit of adversity from yesterday from that fire, but you know, the finish line, we got it today, and you know, come out here for 50th anniversary Mac Tools U.S. Nationals. We're going to try to bring it to the winner's circle. You know, it'd be a highlight of my career to win this race. Checker, Shucks, and Cragen. Try to give all the credit to my guys. They rebuilt that whole car last night. Every hose, every line, every fitting, brand new. 4 new tires. Our spare body on the car. Checker, Shucks, and Cragen. Moving on.
Yesterday in the first round of the Skull Showdown, he had the fire. I was in the pit area last night. At 7:15, your guys fired that car up.
It was a fireball, to say the least. There is Austin Coyle. 4 times he has led John Force to the winner's circle here. But Force is going up against a guy who has won both here in Top Fuel and Funny Car. He is seniority as far as all Funny Car competitors here. This is his 22nd time, and he's been to 6 finals. 4 of them he's gone to the winner circles we mentioned. And he now has 9 poles here at the U.S. Nationals after yesterday. So we can update that stat for you. Body comes down. Always that traditional handshake. And Jim Head going to try and do what few can do. Take John out when he sits on the pole.
Like you said, Marty, both these drivers, they know how to win here at Indy. They know what it's like, and both of them really want to win, as does everyone in the field. But John Force is looking awfully, awfully good right now.
This one was never in doubt. John Force, 4.84 seconds, 322 miles an hour, and that is like, a full 10th quicker than just about everybody else that's gone down the track so far. So John takes the first step. We're going to take a commercial break. We're coming back more live action in Funny Car. First round with Mac Tools, U.S. Nationals. That's our matchup. Back live at the Mac Tools U.S. Nationals. We're getting ready for Tony Bartone in the right lane up against yesterday's Skull Showdown winner, Gary Dencham. He pocketed a cool $100 grand for that one. If he doubles up and wins today, another $50,000 on top of that. Could make it a $250,000 total payday. No pressure there. Step number 1 is complete, and he's right behind John Force. 4.85 seconds. Remember, John ran a 4.84. Speaking of John, let's go to the far end. Bill.
John, you know, Jim Head's been around a long time, but I think he'd be the first to tell you he had no shot.
Well, that's what scares you, because they're fearless. They got nothing to, they just go for it, and if he got away with it, he could be trouble. Watch out for that AAA Mustang. Dencham will run over you.
He ain't stopping for anyone this week.
He won the Skull last night. He's pretty excited. Bottom line, 40th anniversary of Ford Mustang, you know, we want to flex our muscles here and move out in this points lead. But it's all destiny. Anything can happen. And last night, I was watching that NASCAR race late. Saw Earnhardt get put into the wall, big old fire, and he's out of it, and that hurts in the points. So we want every point and a lot of focus today. Just keep winning around, so maybe we can get another championship, maybe.
So John heads back to the pits. We head back to the starting line. And there is Tony Pedregon. Tony won the Skull Showdown last year. He'll be in the left lane, and we're on board with Jeff Arendt, who will be in the right lane. And as the burnouts are complete, I want to remind you about what's going to happen later tonight on ESPN2. We'll have 3 hours of final eliminations of the 50th anniversary Mac Tools U.S. Nationals right here on ESPN2. For more, log on to ESPN.com. And you know, while we've got a chance, I want to send along on behalf of all of us and everybody in the grandstands our best to Wally Parks, 91 years old, the founder of NHRA. He is watching at home in California, could not make the trip. And Wally, please know that we are thinking of you here, and boy, be proud of what you have built. This is absolutely incredible this week. The grandstands have been jammed. In fact, they've been 2 and 3 deep on the rail. Wife Barbara also at home, and we'll send our best to her, because without Barbara at his side, well, I'd be catching a lot of flack from Wally if I don't mention Barbara.
They're the reason we're all here. Trust me, Marty. This is a good matchup here. Tony Pedregon looked really good in qualifying. He's number 3 qualifier, but he did struggle a little bit in the heat. Jeff Arendt with Paul Smith as his crew chief. Normally he's very good in these kind of conditions, but he's going to have to be, I think, if he wants to get around Tony.
Great drag race, and Tony takes the win light at 4.94 seconds, and look how close that one was. 48/1000th of a second is the margin of victory at the finish line. Arendt was first off the line, but he couldn't quite get it done at the other end. We go on board as we head to commercial break. Stay with us. More coming from the Mac Tools U.S. Nationals.
And
Back here live at the 50th anniversary edition of the Mac Tools U.S. Nationals. And while we were in commercial break, our next pair came to the line. It was Eric Medlin in the left lane, Tim Wilkerson, the defending event winner in funny car, in the right lane. And watch Eric, because he's going to go deep. A little bit of nerves, Mike?
A little bit, I think.
Eric went up in tire smoke, and Wilkerson took the win light at 4.97 seconds. Let's go back and take a look at Eric's.
Well, you know, he's up against the defending U.S. Nationals champion, so Eric Medlin, the rookie in his first, obviously, like you said, probably was a little bit nervous. I think he wanted to go in deep, but not quite that far to put out the top light. But it was all for naught anyway to start spinning the tires shortly after he launched off the starting line, and Tim Wilkerson was away and into the second round.
That brings us to a very important run. Whit Bazemore is trying to keep his championship hopes alive. John Force has already won. Tommy Johnson just wants to get a win for the Skull Blue team. Let's go to the far end to Bill.
With a congratulatory hug from rookie Eric Medlin, Tim Wilkerson wins the first round of the U.S. Nationals. You guys had some work to do after Saturday night on the car.
Yeah, that's what really screwed us up for the Skull Shootout, to tell you the truth. We had to swap motors, and the other motor we had some issues with, and I ended up making some changes I didn't like to make. But you know what, Dick Levi's here today, and we're going to try and go back and win the U.S. Nationals again. We just had to go down the racetrack this morning and hope Eric didn't beat us, and lucky enough for us, they just made a little bigger mistake than we did. But hey, next round, who cares? We're going on.
It's loaded up on Saturday. If you look at the front of the car and the body, you can see where the fiberglass has been repaired to fix that carbon fiber.
All right, thanks, Bill. As we take a look inside the cockpit with Tommy Johnson Jr. wearing that helmet in tribute to Marvin Graham.
Yeah, Marvin Graham, TV repairman from Oklahoma City, came out of nowhere. Won here, I think it was in 1974, right around that time. And it was a big upset, but he went on to have a very, very good career. Retired in probably about 1981, and TJ's obviously a big fan of Marvin Graham.
And Whit Bazemore, Don Schumacher says, whoop, that was close. 4.94 seconds, 314 miles an hour, and he had to win that one because Force had already won, and he is trying to catch John in the points.
Yeah, they definitely needed this one. These kind of conditions we've talked about a lot. They've really struggled in the heat, spinning the tires, but Crew Chief Lee Beard thinks they're starting to get a handle on it. This one looks like they are. This was a nice pass, and they definitely needed this win.
There is Whit at the far end of the racetrack, climbing out. While he's getting the helmet off, we'll check in with Dave Reef in the pits.
Back down here in Morgan Lucas's pit. Remember how they're solving their tire problems is by putting some of the new tires on. Also mentioned yesterday, it's happened to some of the other teams. I've just been observing down here in the pits today, and right next door sits Clay Milliken's car that I saw had one chunk out of one of the rear tires too. So they have taken those tires off and have put used tires on. I did get a chance to talk to them a little bit. On hot, greasy racetracks, they don't like to put on brand new, fresh Goodyear tires. They like to put on some scrub tires, Mike. Why would that be?
Well, normally, Dave, the new tires will actually spin a little bit easier than the one-run tires, and they're trying to control that wheel speed early. So by putting new tires on, if the track's a little bit greasy, they're worried about spinning too much and getting into that tire smoke pretty much right off the end of the throttle.
See the crew there, torquing. The lug nuts getting ready for second round competition in Top Fuel. Right now we have one more pair of funny car here, and it is Gary Selsey in the left lane, Johnny Gray in the right. These guys are teammates. Johnny Gray, this is the first race for this team. Don Schumacher decided to bring out a third car to help in the championship chase. And the Wonder Wagon, a tribute to Don's former ride years ago in the 70s, painted on the side.
And Johnny Gray only got down the racetrack one run Friday night. Shut it off early because the car made a big move over towards the wall. Has not even gotten off the starting line since then. Crew Chief Dan Olson, obviously they need to fix that problem to get it if they want to have a shot at beating Gary Selsey. Remember, Gary Selsey and his crew chief Mike Neff had a really good race car the last 5 or 6 races. You see them. Their best run was in the final session last night or evening, 487. So this team's always tough, but they really, like Whit, they need to get this round win right here, too.
Well, and if whoever wins this round goes up against Force in round number 2. And remember, John ran low ET so far at 4.84 seconds. 4.89 seconds and huffs the motor a little bit at the far end of the racetrack. You saw Johnny Gray, a recurring problem. So I have no idea where we could tell that it was team orders or not, because as you pointed out, Mike, they have been struggling to get off the starting line all weekend long.
Yeah, that's basically 4 or 5 runs in a row after their first run. So what can you say there? But I'll tell you, Mike Neff, Gary Selzy did a very good job. This car was really on a nice pass early in the run. And then you heard it kind of go south on the other end. The motor just kind of flattened out. That's why you saw all the other smoke on the other end. Usually when you see the smoke coming out of the headers when the driver lifts, that's usually from burnt pistons, letting the oil from the oil pan come up into the combustion chamber and out the pipe, like you just saw there.
And let's go to Bill.
Hey, Whit, yesterday it was just about this time of the day when you smoked your tires in the first round of the Skull Showdown. You had to have been thinking about that just now.
Well, Bill, you try not to. You know, as a driver in a funny car, all you can do is think about your own job. And like I woke up this morning, I know what I have to do. I'm going to do it the very best I can. The team, everybody, Lee Beard, everyone on down, they're all thinking the same way. And, you know, it's tough. It's awfully easy to smoke the tires, and especially in these conditions. If you're in a Matco Tools Dodge, it seems lately, it's a disease. But it's great. You know, Selzy just ran real well. And we've, you know, this is Indy, man. I mean, we're digging deep, as deep as we can.
Talk to Gary in a second.
Yes, we will, Bill. Let's first show everybody the matchups for round number 2 in Funny Car. As our ladder presented by Lucas Oil has John Force with the lane choice by 5/100ths over Gary Selzy. Cruz Pedregon with the lane choice over Tim Wilkerson. Then over on the other side, Gary Densham has lane choice over Phil Burkhart. And Whit Bazemore in a very big matchup with Tony Pedregon has lane choice there. So now let's go back to Bill.
Gary Selzy, the question I have to ask you is, a couple of good runs for you and Whit Bazemore, but when you look on the scoreboard and you see those 480s thrown up there by John Force and his teammate, you know you get some work to do today.
Well, there's no question that the Hemi Oakley Dodge has got some stuff, but we've got some stuff for them. And they got us in Memphis by a nip, and there's a little left life for us to try to win a Powerade championship. And I'm going to tell you what, right now, the fence, the trailer, everything we got is going to get thrown at Force, and we're not going to smoke the tires. I'm going to tell you, he's going to know he ran that Hemi.
Because it's the Mac Tool U.S. Nationals.
And as we get ready to shift gears, let's show you our Pro Stock ladder presented by Lucas Oil. In the opening round, Greg Anderson on point again. He's got lane choice, as does Stevie Johns, Jake Coughlin, and Jason Line. Line has been the most consistent race car all weekend long. Then over on the other side, Larry Morgan, Kenny Koretsky, Mike Edwards, and Ricky Smith have lane choice as well. Here are the guys who did not make the field. Jim Yates, for the first time in 14 years, is not around on race day. And Kurt Johnson, one of 2 former winners who did not make it to race day. The other was Frank Pedregon in Funny Car. Let's get a Pro Stock preview. Let's bring in Parker Johnstone.
I'm with Jason Line and his fiancée, Cindy Garuffi, and you are the leading candidate of Rookie of the Year, second in the points in Pro Stock, but it's your first time at the U.S. Nationals in Pro Stock. Are you nervous, rookie?
Actually, no. I think I got the best car and the best crew, so I'm not nervous at all. I just got to go there and do my job, and we'll be fine.
Now, your day didn't start out as you wished. You and I talked about this. We like consistency as race car drivers. You got to the track, you forgot something.
I don't want to talk about that.
Come on now. You forgot your credential.
Yeah, minor detail. So the lady at the gate, she held me there and wouldn't let me in. So, but after a few minutes, the crew guys, they made me sweat a little bit, and they come back and brought me my ticket. So.
But you know what, Dave? Sometimes a little breakup in the routine's good. Jason Line, he's confident, and he's looking to win this thing.
Well, I agree, but a breakup in the routine Phil Burkhart didn't want yesterday was this Punisher body getting punished in the Skull Showdown. If you weren't watching, this car caught fire big time. A lot of paint just flakes right off. Obviously, Phil, this car is not going to see any action today, but hey, you've worked on these things as well as driving these things. How tough to put this car back together for today?
Well, last night we replumbed the entire car, got every new hose, every new fitting, every new wire on the car, you know, and to go out there today and run 92 gives a tribute to my checker, Shucks and Craig and crew. They're the best out here. You know, we rebuilt the car top to bottom last night, put our spare body on, and to go out and go rounds today at the 50th annual U.S. Nationals. That speaks volume for my team.
Fortunately, there wasn't, you set out the 5th session. There was a 5th session. This team didn't have to stay ridiculously late last night.
Right. You know, I mean, we were, instead of doing a thrash and make that final session, we were solid in the show. Really didn't feel that we were going to improve, so we felt taking the time and change everything on the car the first time, do it right, and you know, come out tomorrow and go rounds is what it's all about.
They are moving on to the second round as this car, like I said, absolutely punished. The back parachutes absolutely burned off this car.
Yeah, the Punisher definitely got punished yesterday. And Pro Stock is getting ready to go. In fact, the first pair has already just completed the burnouts. It'll be Steve Johns and Bruce Allen. And Bruce, well, he first came to Indy 19 years ago. He is still looking for that first ever elusive Wally at the McTool U.S. Nationals. Stevie Johns, well, he's the number 8 qualifier. Let's take a look again there at the ladder, and you can see, we'll show you those matchups one more time, as it is Greg Anderson, and there's Stevie Johns. Good news is whoever wins probably is going to have to face Greg in the second round, which is not good news. And there's the other side of the equation.
Well, but they're only thinking right now that just to get by this one round win, and you know, it's a number 8 and number 9 qualifier, so all during qualifying they ran pretty close together. So this is a good matchup. It could definitely be decided, like many times in Pro Stock, could be decided right on the starting line.
Yeah, and Stevie has not been stellar on the tree this year. It's his second attempt to qualify at Indy. He failed last year, so really this is his first start. He did have a Pro Stock truck career here at Indy back in 1999. All right, who's going to go in? Bit of a staging duel. It is Steve Johns first. Bruce Allen, first off the line, first to the stripe, 6.88 seconds, 201 miles an hour as he takes the win, as he takes the first step towards trying to capture his first ever U.S. Nationals Pro Stock title. Back at the starting line, engines have fired already, and it is Kenny Koretsky and Alan Johnson. Koretsky closest to you in the left lane. We always refer to it as driver's left and driver's right. For Kenny, it's his 4th Pro Stock start here at Indy for Kenny Koretsky. He tried to qualify once in 1991 in Top Fuel. Did win his first ever round of Pro Stock competition right here in 1987, beating Nick Nicholas. Alan Johnson, his 5th big go. Last year he lost in the first round to Jake Coughlin.
When you were saying we refer to it as driver's left and driver's right, I thought you were going to say we refer to Kenny Koretsky as Captain Chaos.
Well, that's true too.
And the name fits. I mean, he's a great guy, full of life, just a lot of energy, and he's running better than he ever has in his life. The Larry Morgan horsepower in that Mopar, and just loving life right now, and he's been doing a good job. I mean, he can definitely, this car's definitely capable of winning here today.
He is having his best year ever in competition. The wheelie bars, all oh so important. Both cars a little slow to get to the lights. Here we go. Allen has lit the top bulb. Koretsky first off the line, and again first to the stripe, 6.83 seconds. So he takes the win light here at the Mac Tools U.S. Nationals. Stay with us. We're coming back for more. Back here live at the 50th anniversary edition of the Mac Tools U.S. Nationals, and you are looking at the professor, a 6-time winner here, Warren Johnson, and he snapped a 3-race DNQ streak by making it into this field. And just as he gets in, son Kurt failed to qualify for the first time in his U.S. Nationals history. Over in the other lane, the most consistent car, Jason Line, every single run within 100th.
And I guarantee you they weren't trying to do that. They were making changes just the way it kind of worked out. But like you said, Marty, he has been very consistent all through qualifying.
Don't be surprised to see a 681 on the board. Oh, he's skating. He's in trouble. And Warren puts him on the trailer in a hole shot. 6.90 seconds to a 6.88, so maybe losing the credential was not really good. The 8th hole shot loss this year for Jason Line. Warren had him by 4 100ths off the starting line.
Man, what are the odds of that? I mean, Warren was up for this race, wasn't he? There's the photo finish. Like you said, Jason Line got very loose in the middle of the course. That cost him. Watch the launch here. Warren got the jump off the starting line and took it all the way into the second round.
Come on, other side. In his 29th year, WJ moving on to the second round and looking for number 7. Let's go back while we were in commercial break. Show you Greg Stanfield and Ricky Smith. Watch Greg Stanfield because he drills the tree. Cuts a 001 light in that right lane and then seals the deal with a hole shot win. 6.89 seconds to the quicker but losing 6.85. The third time this year that Ricky has lost on a hole shot. Now let's talk a little bit about what's coming up later today, because we have just been informed that because of the results of Hurricane Francis and now Tropical Storm Francis, we are going to have extra coverage on ESPN2 at 4 o'clock Eastern, right after football, so it might be floating a little bit, but we will be on our regular time at 7 o'clock Eastern, both shows on ESPN2. 3 hours of coverage in that final block. Now here's the first one at 4 o'clock Eastern on ESPN2. Now we may be joining that a little bit late. It may have to be a bit abbreviated, but if you want to get a quick look or if you want the full deal, then tune in at 7 o'clock Eastern. That's going to do it for us right now. For Mike Dunn, Bill Stevens, Dave Reed, Parker Johnstone, and our entire ESPN2 crew, I'm Marty Reed. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com. We'll see you later today. So long, everybody. 50 years later, it is the most coveted trophy in NHRA Powerade drag racing. ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports, presents exclusive coverage of the 50th running of the Mac Tools U.S. Nationals from the motorsports capital of the world in Indianapolis, Indiana. And hello again, everybody. Marty Reed, along with Mike Dunn, Bill Stevens, Dave Reed, Parker Johnstone. So glad that you are with us. If you were with us earlier today, you know that we've had some exciting first-round action. And if you weren't with us, let's get you caught up. Take you back to first round of Top Fuel. First up would be Clay Millican against David Grubnick, and it would be Millican taking the win as Grubnick goes up in smoke. 5.03 seconds for Clay. Mike Clover, his crew chief, was all smiles. Up next, it was Morgan Lucas, a very emotional run for Morgan. Corey McClenathan in the other lane, but Morgan, no contest here. 4.66 seconds, a good, strong first-round run, and Mother Charlotte is relieved and happy. Then it was Brandon Bernstein and Brady Calavoda. Brandon goes 4.67 seconds as Brady just went up in instantaneous smoke. And then it would be Larry Dixon, one of 2 winners that would remain after the first round that have won here at the Big Go. He takes care of Rhonda Harpensmith, 4.97 seconds, 276 miles an hour. Dick LaHaye, Don Prudhomme said, okay, it'll do for now. TJ Zizzo, and one of the big surprises from the opening round, takes down Doug Herbert, 4.70 to a 4.72 second elapsed time. And Ace McCullough's going, what went wrong? Scott Coletta and Andrew Cowan. Cowan making his return after 18 months away from the sport. Coletta makes his day very short. 4.66 seconds later, he takes the win, 320 miles an hour. Then the other winner from before that's left around is Tony Schumacher, 4.55 seconds. This was a back crusher for everybody. He easily takes care of Mike Strasburg and was easily low ET of that first round. And finally, Doug Coletta, the pole sitter. Pole sitter's only won here twice in 49 years of Top Fuel racing. Doug is going to try and make it 3 because he goes 4.78 at 3.13 to take the win light. Let's take a look at the matchups in our Top Fuel ladder presented by Lucas Oil, and you'll see that Doug Coletta and TJ Zizzo has the lane choice. That's right, Zizzo lane choice over Larry Dixon. Then Tony Schumacher and Scott Coletta have lane choice on the other side. Now, what happened in Funny Car first round? Well, we're going to give you the answers right now. Phil Burkhardt, remember he had a huge fire in the first round of the Skull Showdown yesterday? Well, the guys worked hard, and it paid off. They take care of Ron Capps with a 4.92 second elapsed time. Then Cruz Pedregon, a 3-time winner here. Dell Worsham in a must-win situation for the points. Well, Dell is out of here. 4.91 seconds later, Cruz, wife Sharon, are moving on to second round. John Force, #1 qualifier, up against Jim Head. Force, runner-up yesterday in the Skull Showdown. He takes care of business. 4.84 seconds. That would be low for the first round. 322 miles an hour. Then Gary Dencham, the man who won the $100,000 yesterday, takes down Tony Bartone. 4.85 seconds. You see Bartone clicking it off early. Then we bring up last year's Skull Showdown winner. That would be Tony Pedregon. He'd be in the left lane up against Jeff Arendt. And Tony would go 4.94 seconds at 303 miles an hour to move into second round action. What about the defending event winner in funny car, Tim Wilkerson, you ask? Well, Tim had Eric Medlin. Eric, in his first ever big go, well, it was a big stop. 4.97 seconds later, Tim puts young Eric on the trailer. Whit Bazemore also in a must-win situation. He's third in the points. He took care of Tommy Johnson Jr. in a very clean 4.94 second elapsed time at 314 miles an hour. And finally, his teammate Gary Scelzi and Johnny Gray. And Gray, who had been struggling, had one good run, and then they've been smoking tires all weekend long for the rest of the time, and they did it again. Scelzi goes 4.89 seconds, 312 miles an hour to take the win. So, take a look at the matchups in our funny car ladder, and you got John Force with the lane choice over Gary Scelzi, Cruz Pedregon over Tim Wilkerson, and then as we switch on over to the other side, it will be Gary Dencham and Whit Bazemore with the lane choice as well. So now that you're caught up on what happened in the first round of Top Fuel and Funny Car, what were your impressions of this 50th anniversary Big Go?
Well, I mean, the start of it obviously is very exciting. We got some great matchups coming up. You know, Gary Scelzi against John Force. That's going to be a huge matchup. Tony Schumacher and Morgan Lucas, a little bit of a rematch from that Memphis race when Morgan was able to take him out. Those are some good matchups for the second round.
And there's also a big emotional attachment to Morgan Lucas. We saw that in the pre-race ceremonies. A lot of people pulling for Morgan to win for Darrell Russell's memory and for the team as they are back in full-time racing mode. Now, let's go to Pro Stock and show you what happened in first round action there. We had 4 races that we were on the air for live earlier today. First one was Bruce Allen and Stevie Johns. And a bit of a staging duel here as neither really wanted to go in. It would pay dividends for Bruce Allen. He would be first off the line, first to the stripe at the other end, 6.88 seconds later at 201 miles an hour. Then it would be Captain Chaos, Kenny Koretsky. He'd be in the left lane up against Alan Johnson. And Kenny gets a good light, an 0.27, runs 6.83 second a lap time at 201 miles an hour, and by a car length takes out Alan Johnson. Greg Stanfield and Ricky Smith were up next, and for the third time this year, Ricky Smith gets hole-shotted. Greg takes the win in a 6.89 second a lap time to a 6.85 for Ricky Smith. And finally, Warren Johnson and Jason Line. And talk about another hole shot. Warren drills the tree, and Jason had been the most consistent car throughout qualifying, running consistently 6.81. This time he runs a 6.88, but the slower 6.90 ends up taking the round win in Pro Stock. So let's take a look at the matchups now as we're going to pick up our action in Pro Stock in round number 1. You can see that Greg Anderson is going to have the lane choice. So is Jeg Coughlin in his matchup with Dave Conley. Switch over to the other side of the ladder. It'll be Larry Morgan with Mike Corvo. And it'll be Mike Edwards having lane choice over V. Gaines. So we're going to take a commercial break. We're going to catch our breath. When we come back, we'll pick it up with Pro Stock first round action here at the 50th running of the Mac Tools U.S. Nationals. And hello again, everybody. Marty Reed, along with Mike Dunn, Bill Stevens, Dave Reef, Parker Johnstone. We are here at the 50th anniversary edition of the Mac Tools U.S. Nationals. If you were with us earlier today on our live edition, you saw, well, part of Pro Stock because we managed to get Bruce Allen, Warren Johnson advancing on the left side. And we're going to pick it up there as we're going to also show you that Kenny Koretsky and Greg Stanfield won as well. So as we pick up our race action here in first round of Pro Stock, of course, we already had first round of Top Fuel and Funny Car. We're getting ready for Mike Edwards and V. Gaines. Mike will be in the left lane, V over in the right. Mike, one of 5 drivers racing in Pro Stock today who have won here before. Edwards beat Warren Johnson for his win back in 1998. And as we get ready for more on this pair, let's bring in Bill Stevens.
And that win in 1998 could not have been more emotional for Mike Edwards. The year earlier, his team owner at the time, John Kite, lost his life, and the team was dedicated to John's memory. They came to Indy, not favored, heavy underdogs, beat Kurt Johnson in the final round for Mike's first and only U.S. Nationals Championship.
And Bill, if you talk to Warren Johnson, even he will admit that when he looks back on it, he says, you know, it was okay to lose that race. And for the professor to ever admit it was okay to lose.
Yeah, that's a big deal, but that was a great win for that team, and he definitely has a shot today. I mean, he qualified number 3, and the car's been looking very good. He's first got to get around this man right here, V. Gaines, since switching to Larry Morgan horsepower in that Mopar. He's looked very good. He's been qualifying in the shows. You know, he's number 14 qualifier, and he's got a tough customer in Mike Edwards, but don't count him out.
Well, V was a runner-up here in '97 to Kurt Johnson. That was his first ever final in Pro Stock car. Big advantage, Edwards. And as our good friend Bob Fry likes to say, air to spare in that win. 6.857 to the quicker, but losing 6.855. So another whole shot win. We had 2 earlier if you're with us, but that's now our third. Let's bring in Dave Reef.
And Marty, one of the most often asked questions I've been getting all weekend is what's up with this yellow car that Dave Grubnick is driving this weekend? It's a Stanley car. That's a Mac Tools team over there. I know you wanted to be around further today, so you can help explain this, but what's up?
Stanley, yeah, it's they're actually the parent company of Mac Tools, and they're a huge company, and believe me, it's a privilege to have them on board with us. The CEO is here, John Lundgren, and it's unfortunate we went out first round, but you know, our sister cars, they're still going round, so hopefully we'll put both Mac Tools cars into the final.
It is a huge surprise. This man's been running very well lately.
All right, thank you, Dave. As we come back to the starting line, you look at Larry Morgan, as he is going to be in the left lane, the number 2 qualifier against the number 15 qualifier, Mike Corvo Jr. Now, even though these Mopars look alike, these guys are not actually running out of the same camp. Corvo runs out of Alan Johnson's camp. But the win light to Larry Morgan. He drives around him. 6.84 seconds, 202 miles an hour, as Morgan advances to the second round by 84 ten-thousandth of a second. And that's what the margin looks like at the finish line. We've got to take a commercial break. Stay with us. We're at the 50th edition of the Mac Tools U.S. Nationals. Back here at the 50th running of the Mac Tools U.S. Nationals, we are in first round of Pro Stock action. Glad you're with us. You're on board right now with Greg Anderson trying to make history. If he can win today, he sets a new mark, 13 wins in a season. And there is wife Kim. He'll be alongside of Steve Schmidt, the number 16 qualifier who calls Indianapolis hometown.
Steve got in on the last session yesterday, got in by 0.02 of a second, bumping out Jim Yates, 2-time former champion, and it was just a great job by this team. Obviously, he's got a tough customer in Greg Anderson, and Greg, that thing, what can we say, makes a ton of horsepower, and in Pro Stock, on a situation like that, I mean, he's got room. He can miss the setup a little bit and still, run very good. Steve Schmidt can't afford to do that. He's got to hit the setup just right if he wants to even have a chance.
The starting line, but Greg has the horsepower at the other end. 6.84 seconds, 202 miles an hour. Let's get a Pro Stock bike preview. Parker.
Marty, never before has a rookie Pro Stock bike rider qualified number 1 in his debut, but Chip Ellis did exactly that, and he did it at the U.S. Nationals. Your first race in Pro Stock bike at the U.S. Nationals, number 1. Are you nervous? Do you understand how great an achievement that is?
Well, we're out here testing, and you know as well as I do, Parker, you're a racer yourself, and you got to have good equipment, and SNS has hooked me up with the best equipment this weekend, Snap-on Tools, Lincoln Electric. I want to say hi to the guys back at the shop who keep this thing running the whole time. My crew chief, Ken Johnson's done an awesome job, and all the guys are here from SNS, so, I'm not nervous. I'm just having fun. All the rest of these guys, I think, are a little nervous, though.
No rookie there, Marty.
Well, I like the fact that George Bryce is trying to keep him in test mode. You're at the biggest event of the year, and I just want you to look at this as a test.
Well, you know, and I think he does it just to calm his nerves, because obviously if this is a test, this is a big test, trust me.
You're on board with two-time winner Jeg Coughlin. He's going to be in the left lane. Dave Conley has been struggling. They broke a motor earlier in the event weekend. They're on a backup motor. It's going to be on the tree. Watch the reaction time. Slight advantage, Jeg. And the win light goes to Jeg.
2:18. Good one, Jag.
That is low for the round. 6.82 seconds by 2 100ths better than Greg Anderson. So Greg and Jaggy could be on a collision course for the semifinals. They've got lane choice over Bruce Allen and Warren Johnson. Over on the other side, it is Kenny Koretsky, Captain Chaos over Larry Morgan, and Mike Edwards with the lane choice over Greg Stanfield. We come back. It will be time for first round action in Pro Stock Bike here at the 50th running of the Mac Tools U.S. Nationals. Sean Gann will be looking for his first ever U.S. Nationals win. Can he get it? He's been a runner-up 3 times.
Indy.
Indianapolis.
Intense.
Pressure.
Winning. U.S. Nationals.
The U.S. Nationals.
The home of the Mac Tools U.S. Nationals, Indianapolis Raceway Park, and you can't find a seat in the grandstands. It has been just tremendous crowds all weekend long. Let's take a look at the Pro Stock Bike Ladder presented by Lucas Oil. We'll tell you, Chip Ellis, stunning performance in qualifying, 7.115. That's a new track record. He's got lane choice, as does Sean Gann, GT Tonglet, Andrew Hines. Harleys could be matching up in round number 2. There's Antron Brown, Craig Treble, Angel Savoy, and Chris Bostic. They have the lane choice. Now, who did not qualify in Pro Stock Bike? Well, the list is long and illustrious, and pick your favorite rider because there's quite a few on that list who are already heading home. We started with 123, and today we started with 64 because we sent 59 home after qualifying. And as we get ready for the first pair, there is Sean Gann. He's been a runner-up here at the last 3 big goes. Lost to Angel Savoy in 2001, 2002, and to Reggie Showers on a hole shot last year. There's Steve Johnson. And of active bike win leaders, well, it's the Army team, Angel and Antron Brown. In fact, as we take a look at the number of indies that people have been participating in, that man right there, Steve Johnson, is the leader in the clubhouse. This is his 16th big go. He's still looking for his first win. In fact, picked up his first career win earlier this year.
You know, and I hope Sean Gann didn't watch the K&N Clash the other day, because Steve Johnson was up here announcing it and basically was calling him names because his suit clashed with his bike.
Yeah, that's true.
So he might be a little revenge to exact here from Sean Gann over Steve. And but Steve, they're a good couple guys. They like each other, but this is a friendly rivalry.
Bill?
You mentioned Steve Johnson's futility in winning the U.S. Nationals. How about Sean Gann? 3 straight years, so close to the sport's biggest prize. He's been a runner-up the last 3 years. Boy, would he love another shot at it today.
Steve Johnson also looking for his first round win since 1998. Here we go. Advantage, Steve Johnson. But the win light to Sean Gann, 7.19 seconds, 187 miles an hour. Steve had him by 2 100ths off the starting line, but just not enough horsepower at the other end.
Yeah, Sean Gann definitely had the horsepower, but he didn't pass until about just before half track, and then the horsepower just pulled away.
So that'll bring us to our next pair, which will be Craig Treble and Matt Smith. Craig in his 7th Indy Big Go start. One of the few races where he has not even yet been to a final.
Matt Smith, the son of Pro Stock driver Ricky Smith, already saw his dad go out in the first round of the U.S. Nationals. Obviously, he doesn't want to have the same thing happen, but he's got a tough customer in Craig Treble right now.
And, of course, Matt was the runner-up back at Memphis to Antron Brown. Dead even. Craig Treble takes the win light, 7.22 seconds to a 7:30 for Matt Smith. Let's check back with Dave Reef.
Down with Brandon Bernstein, got all his pit duties ready to go for round number 2, but I can only assume as a second-generation driver, nobody has to tell you about the significance of the U.S. Nationals.
Oh, not at all. You know, growing up with my father coming here all those years and me being a crew member on his team all those years, it's amazing to be here and finally be driving.
Is it tough to stay calm, stay focused, knowing that this is such a big race?
Well, it is in a way, but I keep telling myself it's just another race. You have to, like, you know, you have to get in that car and just say it's just another race, you know, although it is the U.S. Nationals and it's the 50th anniversary, but you just have to focus on getting the job done by round by round.
It's just another U.S. Nationals race, though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we know what you're saying there, Dave, as we get ready for Chris Bostic and Michael Phillips. Phillips in the right lane. Bostic in the left. Bostic on one of Craig Treble's bikes as he qualifies for the big go.
Bostic was in staged already, and then Phillips was actually pulled in and staged, and then he pulled back out when Bostic pulled out. So they're basically going to start the whole procedure over.
A little bit of gamesmanship, maybe?
Yeah, they have that luxury. They don't have to worry about putting it in reverse. They can just kind of move it back and forth, so it's a lot easier for them to do than any other of the other cars.
Now the auto start kicks in when 3 bolts are lit. Here we go. Advantage Bostic. And it works for him. 7.19 seconds to a 7:22. A good race. 185 miles an hour. Now we are hearing from the far end that Sean Gann was having a real problem at the outrun. He got a bug, a huge one, on the visor and was having trouble stopping the bike, and this is what ended up happening.
We've seen some of these bikes in the past have trouble. Look at him put the feet down, trying to keep that thing from going in the sand. Just kind of nudges her in there a little bit. No harm, no foul there.
Let's go to Bill.
Sean Gann's had some problems keeping the bike out of the sand in years past, but never because of that, a bug on a helmet.
I had never been hit that hard. My head went back. And
hang on.
Whoa.
Hang on. We'll talk to Sean Gann again. Right now, Michael Phillips and Chris Bostic, obviously earlier it was a little bit of a deliberate staging procedure that they went through, and Michael Phillips having to be pulled back away from Chris Bostic, who went on to beat Michael Phillips. And Michael is hot. He is hot, you can see.
Yeah, it looked like there might have been a few swings there, but we'll get back to that as Andrew Hines is in the left lane. Gino Scali in the right. Scali's in trouble. Andrew goes low, 7.16 seconds for 186 miles an hour as he easily outdistances Gino Scali. Now there is Michael Phillips still at the far end, and he is in everybody's face, and he wants to get a little more of Chris Bostic's face.
Yeah, basically what happened, I mean, they both pre-staged. Michael went in and staged, and then Chris pulled out, and then he was waiting, and then Michael pulled out to start the whole procedure over. Obviously, Michael was not happy with Chris's staging procedure, and he let it be known right there.
Well, it's easy to do a headbutt when you have a helmet on. That's going to get some attention from NHRA officials. He is still steaming. Let's go to Bill.
Michael Phillips, usually a very mild-mannered racer. What is going on down here?
Before we got ready to run, he told me he wanted the right lane. So we get up almost into the staging lane, which I don't have no problem with that. He tells me he wants the left lane. So I say, no problem. I go over that. And when he said that, I said, hey, don't play no games with me in the lights. His bike wouldn't start. I waited for his bike to start. So after I waited for his bike to start, I go up there, and he studied over there playing around. So I go in, we could both come up. He come up, put his first light on. He put his first light, I put my first light on. So then I put my first light on, he kept flickering the first light back and forth. He must have did it for 20 or 30 seconds up there. And I don't think that's right. That's not right.
Not happy.
Well, while that was happening, Chip Ellis, the #1 qualifier, did not even make it to the starting line. So we're going to have to find out what happened there because, I mean, he had been strong all weekend long. Kurt Mott takes the win easily, 7.33 seconds. As you can see, it is still going on at the far end of the racetrack. So we're going to have to find out what happened to Chip. And there is Kurt Mott at the far end of the racetrack. So Ellis does not even make it to the starting line. And then we've got our crews trying to track down this story. Now, this was the outrun with Michael Phillips and Chris Bostic. And look at this. Phillips was beginning to jaw with him before they even got stopped.
Oh, yeah. He was definitely upset. I think he was ready on the run down the racetrack. And obviously in the shutdown, he was letting them know. Doing a little trash talking there in the shutdown area.
This is Antron Brown and Karen Stouffer, and Karen goes red. So Antron is going to advance very easily. Boy, we have got all kinds of fireworks going on in Pro Stock Bike. There's Don Schumacher. He's happy because one of his bikes has advanced to second round. All right, let's find out what happened with Chip Ellis. Dave Reef, what's going on?
Oh, it's been a crazy round. Chip, what happened to you?
Man, apparently I was just testing the throttle and something broke in the throttle cable or something. I mean, a $2 part. That's the way it goes sometimes. I'd really like to say thanks to the guys from SNS, G Squared Motorsports, Snap-on Tools. We're sorry we let you guys down. We surely tried. We had the bike that could have won the race this weekend, but that's the way it goes sometimes. We'll get them next time.
Wow. It was George Bryce's 50th birthday today. Chip wanted to give him a present of a Wally. It's not going to happen. We come back to the starting line. Angel Savoy and Josh Helvey. Josh will be over in the right lane. Angel has already seen her Army teammate, Antron Brown, advance. Never knew we were going to go to a pro stock bike race and have a fight break out.
Probably not the first time it's happened.
No,
but maybe only on camera.
But it's usually kind of calm in this class. Red light, Helvey. He took a shot at the tree. And Angel goes 7.18 seconds to take the win, and that will be good enough to give her lane choice in the next round. All right, let's find out what happened to Chris Bostic's side of this thing. Bill.
We've spoken to Michael Phillips. Chris, what happened?
Well, I had an unfortunate experience at the starting line. Our starter car, whenever we plugged it in, it didn't have enough power to turn the compression over of the engine. Tried it 2 or 3 times, wouldn't work. Jason Sullivan ran out and helped us fire off this Chrysler Financial bike, and we got it fired up and won the race. It was unfortunate for Michael Phillips. He's in the points. We do this for fun, and I apologize to Michael. Honestly, I apologize, but it's just racing, brother.
He said you were bumping the bike in and out when you were staging.
No, sir, I was not. I rolled in. His light was already on. They backed himself out of the lights. You know, if the front tire touched it, it was purely by accident. Never even saw the front bulb come on.
Mark Twain said a difference of opinion is what makes a horse race.
Always 2 sides to every story. GT Tonglet and Chip Hunter coming to the line. GT in the left lane. One of the Harleys is already advanced. Will the other? GT, of course, runner-up in the K&N Pro Bike Clash to teammate Andrew Hines on Saturday. His 3rd start here at the Big Go. GT puts Chip on the trailer. Chip in his first Indy start, well, it's short-lived. 7.28 seconds later, GT into round number 2. So as we get ready, let's show you the matchups in our ladder presented by Lucas Oil. It will be Sean Gann with the lane choice over Kurt Mott. Andrew Hines over his teammate GT Tonglet. Also, Antron Brown and Angel Savoy have lane choice. They have a collision course for the semifinals if they both can win round number 2. So as we go to commercial break, Michael Phillips is still steaming. Antron Brown's trying to calm him down. Stay with us. We're coming back to the Mac Tools U.S. Nationals.
This is Indy. When it's all said and done at the end of your career, you don't count points, you count wins.
And we are back at the 50th anniversary edition of the Mac Tools U.S. Nationals. So glad that you are with us. It is round 18 of the NHRA Powerade Drag Racing Series. It is the most important round. Now, if you were with us, you know about the fireworks in Pro Stock Bike in round number 1. This is what happened. Chris Bostic, closest to you, accidentally rolls into the beams. At least that's his version of it, as he told us. That got Michael Phillips over in the far lane, getting a little cranky. You see Rick Stewart moving in, and this did not end it there. This is on the outrun. They haven't even stopped yet, and Michael is already in Bostic's face. It got worse from there. He could barely get the bike stopped before he's got the visor up, and they're going nose to nose, and there's the little push and the shove, and that's going to get some attention. And about 15 minutes later, Angel Savoy and Antron Brown are still trying to calm Michael Phillips down. Does that tell you how important this race is to these people? Passion. All right, let's talk about Top Fuel. presented by Lucas Oil. Here's our ladder. Doug Coletta, TJ Zizzo have the lane choice, as does Tony Schumacher and Scott Coletta. In fact, it's going to be that Zizzo-Larry Dixon matchup that we're going to focus on first. And the engines have fired down on the starting line. Looks like we've got maybe a little bit of cloud cover rolling in, Mike. Just a touch here and there. We'll get an update on track temperature as soon as possible. TJ Zizzo has done his burnout. There is Larry Dixon with Dick LaHaye bringing him to the line. So as they complete the burnouts, we did find out track temperature is 109 degrees. More on this matchup first. Let's go to Parker.
Marty Ron Tobler, the crew chief and husband of Shirley Muldowney, now the crew chief for Doug Coletta. Try to give the folks at home the feeling of emotion and the importance of the U.S. Nationals.
Oh, well, it's a big race. Obviously, this year with the 50th anniversary, it's even larger than it usually is. It's been a great crowd, great weather. I don't think you can ask for more.
Race morning, a little different than the other days of the week for you, especially today.
No, not really. It's about the same for me, no matter what round it is.
He's been doing this a long time, Marty. He knows how to win it.
You heard earlier from Larry Dixon how important this place is to him. He only lives like 5 miles away from the track in nearby Avon, Indiana. And he has won this event twice. Last year, however, he went out in round number 2, losing to Kenny Bernstein in the Battle of the Beer Wagons. For TJ Zizzo, well, he has won his first round ever in Top Fuel at the biggest race of all.
And he got lane choice doing it over Larry Dixon when Larry spun the tires in his first round win. Only ran a 497. TJ went and ran his consistent bracket car like 470. Probably needs to just try to do that again. I think the lanes are pretty equal. I don't think it's a big difference for lane choice. But if TJ can keep the thing hooked up, he just might give Larry a race.
Car length. It is Larry Dixon, 4.65 seconds, 316 miles an hour. TJ, a very respectable 472, but just not enough to get the job done when Larry starts running those kind of numbers.
Yeah, give TJ Zizzo and that crew applause. I mean, they did a great job this week, and that car went down the racetrack on every single run. They were in the game. They had the opportunity to win the 50th annual U.S. Nationals. It was all for naught. Larry Dixon, the experienced driver, I mean, he nailed the tree and led from start to finish. Dick LaHaye put that great tune-up on there, and he's in the semifinals.
He'll match up against the winner of Doug Coletta and Clay Millican. In fact, that is going to be the next pair of cars coming to the line. Coletta, the #1 qualifier. If you were with us earlier, we pointed out that the #1 qualifier is only won in Top Fuel twice in 49 prior races. There is Clay Millican. He's going to be over in the right lane. Let's quickly go to the far end of Bill.
Larry, when you rolled up here after the last round, the blower bell was hanging off, and you were like an escape artist, but right down the fairway that time.
Yeah, you don't got to give Dick LaHaye and the Miller Lite crew too many chances at that. You know, we spun the tires, they adjusted it. You know, the track come around too, so got the win light, and that's all that matters. Can't take these guys lightly. They went down the racetrack every single time, so you got to go up there and give them respect.
And there is TJ Zizzo, who made quite a splash in his U.S. Nationals debut.
He did himself proud, Bill. You're absolutely right. Take a look at the Mac Tools Top Fueler. We talked about the extra pressure that it is being part of the title sponsor of this race, and Doug has been constantly on the go all week long. The biggest thing that he's trying to think about right now is just focusing on the round win. He's only been to the semifinals once. That was back in his rookie season in 1998. He has not had a lot of success here. There is Shirley Muldowney as she is watching her husband, Ron Tobler, get ready for this run.
And you heard Ron talk about that. He approached this race basically the same as any other one, which is the right way and the same way that Doug Coletta has to do it. Try to take that pressure off yourself. But I can tell you one thing, if they do win this race, the celebration will be a lot bigger than any other race.
Well, they owe Clay Millican. He has beaten them the 2 times they have faced each other this year. The win light for Coletta. Coletta, he drives around Clay Milligan. Milligan went deep, first off the line, and a 4.65 at 3:15 puts Doug into the semifinals for the second time in his Indy career. There's the margin at the stripe, 2/100ths of a second, and we've got to take a commercial break. Big matchup coming up when we come back. We got Scott Coletta, Brandon Bernstein, and also Tony Schumacher and Morgan Lucas. We're back at the Mac Tools U.S. Nationals, the 50th edition of this great event. As we have engines coming to life, we've already seen Doug Coletta move on to semifinals. Scott Coletta, his cousin, will be up against Brandon Bernstein. Bernstein in the right lane, Scott in the left. As they complete the burnouts, we'll send it back to Bill.
A lot of racing still yet to go, Doug Coletta, but what would it mean to win this race? Your uncle, the only Coletta who's ever done it.
Yeah, I tell you, it'd be great. I was here that day, and it was the best feeling going. But, you know, that was a good race there. He bumped it in on me, and, you know, I obviously got by him. I was real happy to get by Clay, and, you know, we just got great support with Mac Tools here this weekend. Redline, Technico, we're just going rounds, hoping to get to the final here.
Go to Dave.
Bill back here in the starting line, getting ready for that Morgan Lucas-Tony Schumacher matchup. Remember, it's brand new slicks here for Wayne Dupuis and Morgan Lucas because of some of the issues they've been having. Another team that did have some first-round issues as well as Tony Schumacher. If you take a look at the backside of that race car, some new tires have been put on the back of that one. Remember, these guys met earlier this year. Morgan Lucas got a very important round win, and I bet that's on Tony Schumacher's mind right now.
Yeah, and if you weren't with us, they had a problem in the fourth of 5 sessions of qualifying. Morgan Lucas's team did. They chunked the tire, decided to sit out the session, and they have bought 4 complete brand new sets, and each time they are strapping those new tires on. Bernstein goes up in smoke, and Scott goes 4.65 seconds, 317 miles an hour. And we said we weren't going to talk a lot about the points today, but if Tony Schumacher can advance, this really hurt Brandon's chances. He is third in the points right now.
Well, you're right. This really does hurt his chances. The car lines, let's see what happens out here, about 300 foot. Right about there, it goes a little bit of tire shake and then right into the tire smoke. And at that point, he's just watching Scott Coletta pull on by into the semifinals with another 465.
There is Scott right now on a collision course. You could potentially have an all-Coletta final. They are on opposite sides of the ladder. Now we come to Morgan Lucas, a young driver in Joe Amato's top fueler, a Lucas Oil top fuel machine. He'll be up against Tony Schumacher. We talked about how emotional that first round was for Morgan. The special tribute they had prior to the race for the family, and Darrell Russell's widow Julie here, along with his mother and father. Somehow he was able to focus.
Yeah, and you know, and I'd be remiss if I couldn't send a shout out to one of my good friends, Gino. He's home fighting cancer right now, and he's watching, and he's one of the guys that helped me in the early part of my career, and I just want to tell him to hang in there, buddy.
There you see Morgan's record here since coming into Top Fuel. Wayne Dupuis making the final adjustments.
I'll tell you, that run by Tony Schumacher in the first round, 455, that was just an unbelievable pass. That thing had to be on the ragged edge of spinning the tires. You know, Alan Johnson's as good as anybody in setting these tune-ups up, and I don't know if I'd be that gutsy to try to do the same thing, but he's got to run good because, you know, Morgan Lucas, I mean, that kid can drive. He's very good on the lights, and he can get it down the racetrack, and Tony remembers that he got him, 2 weeks ago in Memphis.
And that was a 471 to a 473 elapsed time. There is Morgan's father, Forrest Lucas. Red light for Morgan. And a 460 elapsed time. And it is the quickest run of this round. Tony Schumacher moves on, and Forrest is shaking his head as the nerves got to Morgan. He went 082 red. And Mother Charlotte Let's take another look.
Yeah, Morgan knew he had to get a good jump off the starting line, and he just messed up. I mean, he lost. Basically, you lose concentration. You think the light's coming, and you're hoping that as you're going down the throttle, it goes. And obviously, he didn't get the light. Unfortunate for him.
All right, lane choice in the semifinals. Larry Dixon over Doug Coletta. And in the other one, it will be Tony Schumacher over Scott Coletta. So we've got to take a commercial break. When we come back, it'll be time for second round of Funny Car. And what about Gary Dencham? Oh, it's going to be so good as he's trying to double up.
Look out for us tomorrow. Dead jump, you're still fired.
That smoky burnout of Tony Pedregon over in the right lane here at the Mac Tools U.S. Nationals as we get ready for that matchup in second round action with Whit Bazemore. And take a look at our Funny Car ladder presented by Lucas Oil. You'll see that John Force, Cruz Pedregon, Gary Dencham, and Whit have the lane choice.
Yeah, Whit only got it by 1/1000th of a second over Tony Pedregon. That's how close it was in the first round. Now, everybody's been choosing the left lane that has had lane choice, other than Johnny Gray, who took the right lane when he had to run Gary Selzy, probably for obvious reasons, but we'll get into that maybe a little bit later, maybe not. But, you know, I think the lanes right now are pretty equal. I don't think it makes that much difference. We've seen some good runs in both lanes, but obviously the good cars right now, if they have lane choice, they are taking that left-hand side.
Well, when Whit won here in 2001, the runner-up was the guy that's over in the right-hand lane, Tony Pedregon. I guarantee you he remembers that.
Oh, yeah, and I think like you mentioned earlier about the cloud cover, I mean, even though the track temperature stays up a little bit, with the cloud cover and the sun not beating directly on all the time, it'll kind of get the track maybe, you know, a little more tacky. In other words, it won't be as greasy out there. And the crew chiefs, they go out there before the session. They look at that and determine how aggressive they can get on their tune-up. Lee Beard has really struggled in the heat doing that, but he seems to be going in the right direction. He's made a couple runs here this weekend in the heat, but he has smoked the tires also, I think, one run in the heat of the day. So this will be a good matchup here.
Boy, they were dead even off the line, and look at the elapsed time. 4.89 seconds at 312 miles an hour for Whit Bazemore. A good, solid run.
Nice pass for that team. This is what they need in the heat of the day. A 489, not too much wrong with this run. Straight down the middle. Tony Pedregon, not bad. I mean, he had good numbers fairly early, but in the middle of the course, the thing just kind of nosed over, laid over a little bit, and Whit got the win.
Let's put a period on Top Fuel, Bill.
Tony Schumacher, I did, and I know a lot of people who love this sport were thinking as you were staging that last year in the final round you were racing that car with Darrell Russell aboard. However, you do have the car to beat so far today.
We do, and you know, all things go perfectly. I like to, you know, give that trophy to Julie because, you know, it's a long way from one, and I hope to think that anyone that wins this race would be a good one for. But you know, Darrell's a great friend to all of us. This is a real sad race, but I sure would like to win this one. This would make it 4 for us, but we need to focus right now. We don't only have a race to win, we got a championship. We need to get these 20 points.
Thank you, Bill, as we go on board with Cruz Pedregon as we got a camera on his helmet. He's going to be up against the defending event winner here last year, Tim Wilkerson. Before we talk more about these guys, let's remind you, Tuesday night, 9 Eastern, ESPN's coverage of the 2004 World Series of Poker continues from the Horseshoe Casino in Las Vegas. 2 more hours in the main event, No Limit Hold'em World Championship. It's presented by Miller High Life on ESPN Tuesday night, 9 Eastern. For more, log on to ESPN.com. Well, we mentioned the fact that Tim is the defending event winner. There is Cruz's wife, Sharon. Cruz has won here 3 times. He loves this place. Always seems to raise his game. Let's talk a little bit about the Funny Car active win leaders. And you see John Force is 1 ahead of Cruz, with Bazemore right behind the cruiser, with Jim Head, Frank Pedregon, and Tim Wilkerson. And Frank Pedregon did not make it out of qualifying, as he was one of the 59 pros sent home after yesterday.
Yeah, Tim Wilkerson, I mean, he won this thing last year. It was kind of a mild upset. I mean, Tim Wilkerson, though, if you know him, it wasn't, because the amount of work he puts into this car and this team to get to where it's at, even though it's a single car team and it's really the only successful single car team out there in funny car, they've really been doing well. And you know, just like Cruz, he loves this race also.
Well, you saw Wilkerson sort of drift out of the groove, and Cruz lays down 489, 4.89 seconds, 315 miles an hour. So he almost matches us to the third digit. The performance by Whit Bazemore. We go on board with Tim Wilkerson. There he is, out of the groove. That's all it takes. Stay with us. We're coming back. The Mac Tools, U.S. Nationals. Engines have fired back here at the Mac Tools U.S. Nationals, the 50th anniversary edition, as we get ready as the body comes down on John Force's Castrol startup Mustang. He's got the number 9 qualifier, Gary Scelzi. And as these guys complete the burnout, let's send it to Parker Johnstone.
Rookie Eric Medlin, you were eliminated in the first round, but Mike Dunn said it's important for a driver to just pretend this is another race. Were you able to do that today?
Well, you know, Mike Dunn's right. He's one of the best drivers out here, and he's absolutely right. You do have to do that. It's hard to do. This is the U.S. Nationals. There's only 1/50th, but yeah, you do have to do that, and that's what John and Ditcham are real good at, keeping me calm. And I think that I did that. We just had a little malfunction, but hey, we'll be all right.
Let's go to the far end of Bill Stevens.
With Bazemore, back-to-back strong runs with.
Yeah, it's good, Bill. We're, you know, it's Indy, man. I mean, our team's working awfully hard. We need it. Hey, the sun's out. It's hot. And the Matco Tools dive is going down the track. And, you know, Goodyear, they're working awfully hard. We like the engineers they have and the effort they're making to make things the best they can for us. And we do appreciate the effort. And but, you know, hey, this is Indy, man. And it's all about that third victory for us. And we're working hard to try to make it happen.
Thank you, guys. As John Force, the body is down. Gary Scelzi coming to the line. This is an important round. Scelzi second in the points. If John wins this one, it's just a backbreaker in the championship chase. Not to mention, it just happens to be the Mac Tools U.S. Nationals.
Huge matchup here. Two of the best cars in the business right now. Both John Force and Gary Scelzi, man, they both want this round bad.
7th matchup between these two in the last 8 races. Here we go. Shot. 4.90 seconds to the quicker, but losing 488. So both of Don Schumacher's 2 and 3 in the points funny cars have moved on, and number 1 in the points is on the trailer.
Marty, these guys just keep slapping each other every other race. 2 races going Brader. Gary won on a hole shot. Last race in Memphis, John wins on a hole shot. Well, let's go back and try it one more time. Gary once again wins on a hole shot. Watch John Force on board, made a very nice run. Low ET to this point, a 488, but it wasn't good enough because he was late off the starting line, and Gary Scelzi is into the semifinals.
John's 4th reaction time loss this year. And the celebration, look at it at the far end. Underneath that helmet is one huge smile. I guarantee you Gary Scelzi knows exactly how important this race is, and there is by half a car length.
Look at this. Wasn't a whole lot wrong with this. I mean, Gary stayed a little bit deep to get that reaction time advantage, but he still had a good light. You have to do that when you're in the heat of battle, and he pulled through.
So now we're down to Gary Dencham and Phil Burkhardt, and if Dencham loses, Team Force is out of here in 2nd round. He's the last hope. Let's go to Bill.
The winner on a hole shot, Gary Scelzi.
Hole shot, schmole shot, that's a bunch of baloney anyway. If you're going deep, and I staged with my front feet. It just happens that way sometimes. But I'm going to tell you what, this guy gets up for the fights and he wants to knock your head off, and if you're not ready, he's going to kill you. And all I've been telling myself all morning,
you get by first round and you get the champ, you got one more slim hair maybe to catch him. But the Oakley Dodge champion, Matt Cont'd, everybody, I love you. John maybe won't even yell at me at this run here, and Zippy, I love you to death. Right when we back up to the burnout, he opens the box. I said, oh no, cloud cover, he's going for more, and it made it. So thank God we're going round 3.
You and him have given us some of the best racing all year, John.
We keep passing this whole shot thing back and forth up there at Brainerd and then Memphis and here, but driver error, can't argue it. Get up for it, get up the best you can, and you just make mistakes. So we got to take it here and hope Densham can pull this off and knock these guys out and protect that point slip for them.
Back at the starting line, it is Gary Densham in the left lane. Phil Burkhart, if you weren't with us earlier, in the first round of the Skull Showdown yesterday, burned the body off of this thing in a huge fireball. They worked long into the night. They got it done. Here they are, second round. But Gary Densham is one step closer to that $50,000 double-up bonus. Remember, he won the Skull Showdown yesterday, beating his boss, John Force. He does a 4:92 elapsed time at 317 miles an hour.
Wow. Gary Densham was ready for this run. An 0.42 reaction time at almost 0.08 of a second on Phil Burkhart. Crew Chief Jimmy Brock gave him a nice tune-up to get down the racetrack, 492 at over 317 miles per hour. Nice and safe and into the semis. Look at that. Not too much wrong with that. That was nice and straight and clean, and nice job by the team.
So let's take a look at the matchups. Lane choice will go to Cruz Pedregon. Oh, so close by 1/100th of a second over Gary Scelzi. And then it will be lane choice to Whit Bazemore over Gary Densham. So as the helmet comes up, we'll send it to Bill.
Gary, it wasn't a few years ago, I think, you celebrated your first round win here at the U.S. Nationals, and now you're ever so closer to that double up. But I know winning that was important because who you got in the next round?
Well, I tell you, I mean, every crowd here is bad fast. And I tell you, really got to hand it to the Checker Shucks Crane guys, Burkhart, after that big old fire, to come back and do what they did. Really proud of those guys. They work hard out there. But, hey, for Auto Club 4, John Force, hey, we're going on another round. I'm a happy guy.
You must be feeling like Custer, the only Force car left on the table. Dave?
Bill, the look on Morgan's face says it all. Morgan Lucas, unfortunately, red lit in that round, but we still want to remember the good things about Darrell Russell. And one of the reasons you're here is an exchange that you guys had many years ago.
Yeah, I was about, I think, 10 or 11 years old. I haven't done the math on it in a long time, but when I was at Pomona at the World Finals, one of the first races I ever went to with my dad, I had some friends that also were out there, and we used to go around scraping parts, asking if they got any broken pieces. Kind of one of those kids that every team hates. But Darrell's dad and himself actually took him in the trailer, and his brother Chris, and they had a wheel that they had bent in Brainerd earlier that year. And I guess there's TV footage of it. They put on shark music and stuff. I found out yesterday. But at the time, it was really cool to me because I could take it around and get all the drivers to sign it. But it really had a lot of meaning to me for a long time. But now, today, has that much more meaning to me, and has a big impact on why I'm doing what I'm doing, because he, was one of those people who was so nice to be able to take a kid like me that he didn't even know and give him something like that.
Unfortunately, today, a red light. Pretty tough to stay calm here, especially at your first U.S. Nationals, being the 50th and everything.
Usually, I don't have any problem keeping myself on the wraps, but I think with everything that's new going on around me, I can't make excuses for it. I just screwed up, but these guys have got a really good race car this weekend, and I let them down, but it's why we win as a team, we lose as a team. There's going to be times when, I'm going to get a hole shot or something and the car might not make it or whatever that happens. It's why this is racing. It's why this teamwork, and this is why we do what we do. So it'll be all right. The guys aren't going to beat me up too bad. I might, have to get a couple casts or something, but we'll make it back for Reading and be all right.
Also, one of the classiest things I saw, Parker, Tony Schumacher, one of the first people in this pit to greet them, stuck out a hand and congratulated him on a good weekend.
Dave, these teams have 75 minutes to get their cars turned around for the next round of eliminations. Two-time U.S. National champ and two-time Top Fuel champ Larry Dixon, also a crewman when Prudhomme won this event in U.S. Nationals. Tell us what your guys are doing.
Well, pretty much when we come back from a run, if we're one of the early pairs, the guys will actually service the short block. They'll put in fresh rods and pistons, go through the main bearings, do all that. They'll put fresh set of cylinder heads on because it takes a little bit longer to do that. If we're one of the later pairs, we'll just change short blocks. The guy, as far as the clutch goes, put a fresh clutch pack in it. They put a reground flywheel on it, same thing with a pressure plate, and put it all together. They normally get it done in about 35 minutes. We have it warmed up in about 45 minutes, and
gives them time to eat some lunch and get ready for the next round.
Marty, pressure on the drivers and the crews here.
We've got to take a commercial break, and it's Larry who has said himself that his biggest win was when he was a crew member for Don the Snake Prudhomme right here at Indy. Back here at the Mac Tools U.S. Nationals, the 50th anniversary edition, we're getting ready for Pro Stock. Mike Edwards and Greg Stanfield. Edwards, a former winner here in Pro Stock. He'll be in the left lane, and let's take a look at our Pro Stock ladder presented by Lucas Oil. You'll see that Greg Anderson, Jake Coughlin, Kenny Koretsky, and Mike have the lane choice. As we come down onto the starting line, we get ready for this. For Mike Edwards, it has not been one of his better years. He's only made it so far to one semifinal. That was in Houston earlier this year. But as we said, he has won here at the Mac Tools U.S. Nationals.
Well, and the fact that he hasn't had a very good year, like you said, Marty, coming into this race, he's really having a good U.S. Nationals right now. The car's been running very good, had a great reaction time in the first round. And, I mean, if you can win this race, it'll make you kind of pretty much forget about the rest of the year because, I mean, let's face it, Greg Anderson's going to win the championship.
We've seen sponsorship deals saved by winning this race in the past.
No question about it. I mean, the amount of TV time you just get for this race and the prestige from it all really, really can help a race team.
Edwards takes another step towards U.S. Nationals win number 2, 6.87 seconds at 200 miles an hour. Parker?
Marty, you mentioned a little earlier in the show about tire chunking. Dave said there was a concern over at Joe Amato's Top Fuel team. Just wanted to show you what that looked like. Remember, these tires propelling these fuel cars over 300 miles an hour. There's a huge amount of centrifugal force that occurs in the shoulder of the tire. And here on Larry Dixon's tire, you can see a piece of the shoulder has come off. Now, it's not a concern. Obviously, the integrity of the tire is intact. Goodyear, of course, working all the time to make sure these tires are not only competitive, but also safe. But that's what we're talking about when we're talking about chunking of the tire.
Thank you, Parker, as we go on board with Greg Anderson, the #1 qualifier, trying to make history. He has tied his record of 12 wins in a single Pro Stock season. Wins today, it's number 13. That would tie him on the all-time list with John Force, who did it in Funny Car.
You try to think, well, you know, what does Bruce Allen have to do to beat Greg Anderson? And it's one of those things where, man, I don't know. I mean, Greg is really, you know, his car's not as dominant as it was before. We talked about that this weekend. But, boy, I mean, he's risen to the occasion as far as driver. You know, Bruce needs to try to get a jump off the starting line, but Greg's been pretty good. You know, that's been hard to do lately.
Anderson. And by a car length, 6.83 seconds, 201 miles an hour. You can see Greg pumping the fist. He knows he's moving on to the semifinal.
Greg Anderson wants to win the 50th U.S. Nationals. Trust me, he wants to win everything, but he really wants this right now, and he's on his way towards it. The car looks very good. He's driving about as good as I've seen anybody driving the last few races, so he's dialed in.
Now, as we get ready for Kenny Koretsky and Larry Morgan, we'll quickly go back into Gary Scelzi's pit, and you see the pit action going on. We'll just listen in a little bit.
That's amazing. They don't even look like they're really rushing. I mean, it's just so well orchestrated that they're just moving nice flow there.
As we take a look at Larry Morgan, this is his 13th start here at the Big Go. He scored his first of 9 career Pro Stock wins right here in 1989, beating the invincible Bob Glidden. You want to talk about a high point in your career.
Yeah, I mean, Bob Glidden was very, very hard to beat. And Bob Glidden, as you know, was helping Larry for a while, and then they've parted ways a few races ago. And but Larry seems to have kept the combination because he is definitely running strong. Kenny Koretsky in the other lane, Captain Chaos, with Larry Morgan horsepower. I mean, he's been running very well. He had lane choice coming this round, like everybody else. He has chosen that left-hand lane.
going in first. The clock is up to 21 seconds. Rick Stewart looking at his watch. This could go on for a while.
I might as well have lunch.
Oh, and red light for Larry Morgan. Koretsky, it works. He's going to his first semifinal at the Big Go. Unbelievable. 6.85 second elapsed time at 201 miles an hour. He cut a 003 light as Morgan goes red by a ton.
Well, it paid off. You said, you know, Kenny Koretsky cut a 003, but he basically reacted when he saw Morgan go. He probably knew he had the race won and just let the clutch out and figure out what the heck. But is he excited or what?
Let's go to Bill.
Greg Anderson, I remember a few years ago you went in this race in an old taxi cab. It's been a long time since then, but the car's looking pretty strong today, but not as strong as you like.
Not as strong as we like, and I do remember that day. That was just the best day of my life. It was awesome. That's Indy. That's what Indy's all about. Winning a big one at Indy is just the best feeling in the world. We got 2 rounds to go. We got a tough competitor coming up here with Jag. He's running great all weekend. We're just a tick off with mine, but you know what? It's not over until the fat lady sings it. It's not over.
Can you imagine this year hearing Greg Anderson say they're still trying to noodle the car out to get it back to where they want it?
Well, these guys are catching up to him, Bill. We've seen it in the elapsed time. And you were mentioning that old Firebird. We nicknamed that old wide track car the Sled, but he made it work.
I like the fact that he already figures he's beating Jag. He's racing Jag in the next round. I think Warren might want to have something to say about that.
That's for sure. Here they go. Well, the win does go to Jag.
201.70, Jag.
So you can see.
Had a real hard time going in down here. What was run for DC? 85 with a 2.
So he's talking about the clutch, having a hard time going in. There is the margin, 0.02 of a second. Bill?
Former U.S. Nationals champion Larry Morgan is a very good friend of Kenny Koretsky. You guys pit side by side. Of course, you have Larry's power. What was that all about?
Well, we just both went up there to win, and I got to thank everybody at Larry Morgan's shop. These guys worked their tails off for us, gave us good horsepower, and Eddie Granacci and Nitro Fish, of course, Mac Tools, and NHRA. Thank you very much.
What's your version of all this?
I don't know what he was thinking, but he better put it. Well, I don't know. He's the one that's got the cool radiator, not me.
Thank you.
Somehow they can find a way to laugh, but I guarantee you, inside, Larry's not real thrilled. Let's show you the matchups. Greg Anderson will have lane choice over Jake Coughlin. That'll be a dandy. And then it will be Kenny Koretsky with the lane choice over Mike Edwards. Time for the two-wheel Pro Stock bikes when we come back.
It's just amazing, absolutely amazing when you win any round at Indy. It's just nothing compares, nothing.
Engines have fired here at the Mac Tools U.S. Nationals in Pro Stock Bike. That is Craig Treble, and he'll be in the right lane up against Antron Brown. And you can see, looking at the matchups, it will be Brown with the lane choice in that first matchup. Also having lane choice, Sean Gann, Andrew Hines over his teammate GT Tonglet, and Angel Savoie. Antron, the 2000 winner here at the Big Go, lives in Indianapolis. Don Schumacher Racing building a brand new 100,000 square foot shop not too far away from the track here. A lot of teams have relocated. We had a story on it earlier. Here we go. The win light to Antron, 7.28 seconds at 182 miles an hour. We come back to the starting line. We get ready for our next pair. There is Sean Gann in the Mac Tools Special Edition paint job. He'll have Kurt Mott over in the other lane. Kurt Mott, the big surprise out of that first round when Chip Ellis was unable to answer the call. Mott, the number 16 qualifier, trying to keep the dream alive.
Yeah, I mean, obviously got a lucky break in the first round, but hey, you know what? He's in the second round of the 50th annual U.S. Nationals. That's got to be very cool for him right now.
That win was his first ever in Pro Stock Bike competition. He'll take it any way he can get it. right now he's going to have to go up against Sean Gann, the guy who's gone to 3 runner-up positions here, and he wants to seal the deal and take home the Wally. Big advantage for Mott. Does he have the horsepower to hold on? No. You heard the bike go sour, and then Sean goes 7.16 seconds at 188 miles an hour. But I guarantee you, if you ask Sean, he'll say, oops, on the start. He had an 0.95 light. Let's put a period on Pro Stock. Bill?
Shaggy, your dad, all of your brothers have been drag racing for a long time. The winner on the Hemi Challenge Friday night, one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. And now you're 2 rounds away from your 3rd Indy Championship. Can you do it today?
Well, we certainly felt so coming in today. We've had a great car, been running the back half like no other out here, which is exciting. We've got great power. So, it's just going to take, being crafty on this track today. And that round we slowed up, and we'll have to go back and look at the data and get this thing hopped up, because that's not going to stand for long.
In case you missed it, first time in a Hemi car in his life, he won the $10,000 from Mopar Friday night here.
It was fun to watch those Hemis going down the track as we get ready now for Angelle Savoie. She's going to be in the left lane against Chris Bostic. And if you remember, we showed you what happened with Chris and Michael Phillips as they went toe-to-toe and face mask to face mask.
That was a pretty wild thing there in the first round. The first round Pro Stock bike, that was something else. I think, welcome to the U.S. Nationals, Pro Stock bike style.
Well, get ready. Chris Bostic lost his first race ever in Pro Stock to Angelle right here back in 1999. He just got a taste of revenge. 7.28 seconds to a 7:33, and Bostic is going to the semifinals.
You think Chris is excited right now? Well, he did a great job. 200ths of a second advantage over Angelle and made a good run. 7:28. Angelle's bike fell off. Something must have happened there. I mean, she was at least a 1/10 of a second slower than what she normally would be. Had a bad 60-foot time. Don't know if the bike maybe bogged when she let out the clutch. Could have hurt her reaction time, too, a little bit.
So we come back for the Battle of the Harleys. This looks like a rematch of the K&N bike clash. Andrew Hines won that one. In fact, if he can go on to win the race, he gets a double-up bonus. He won $15,000 on Saturday, can get another $10,000 if he can win the race. He's got to take care of teammate GT Tongla again. Andrew's in the left lane.
GT outqualified Andrew by just a little bit. He was number 4 and Andrew was number 5. That's why they're meeting up right here. So based on that, they've been pretty even. But I think overall, Andrew's bike has had a slight edge. It's ran the numbers when it's needed it.
Red light for GT. Andrew into the semifinals. And he does it with a 7:14, 187. That is low for this round. And, boy, the 4th red light loss for GT Tonglet. Bill?
2000 U.S. Nationals champion Antron Brown. We have our semifinal matchups ready to go, and I just heard you say something about the engine.
Yeah, hopefully we didn't hurt it because it felt a little weird going on top end, with this U.S. Army bike. But my team's back in the pits ready with the Matco tools just to get everything geared to put a new engine in, But hopefully we can have something for Bostic next round. He's doing awesome on Treble's bike, and it just feels great. Just want to give a shout to all my family, my daughter, my son, and my wife. Thank you.
Now let's go over to Sean Gann here, a 3-time runner-up here for 3 straight years. And have you worked the bugs out?
Man, I'm trying. It was a mess cleaning all that deal up. I had to get my Berryman glass cleaner. I got to thank Mac Tools, Aerotech, Lucas Oil, Technicoat Companies, the Cowboys are getting ready to come into my place. We're going to get a probably going to get a ribeye, probably a thicker.
He'll have a Harley in the semis.
All right, thanks, Bill. Let's take a look at the matchups. We'll show you who has lane choice. Andrew Hines over Sean by 2 100ths of a second. And then in the other matchup in the semifinals, it will be Antron Brown by 9 1,000th of a second over Chris Bostic. Let's go back to Bill.
Well, No fisticuffs after that round win, Chris Bostic, but what's going through your head going into the semifinals at this race?
Oh, it's just exciting having the Chrysler Financial bike out there and ready to go into the finals. I really, really want to thank my wife and all my family for getting us this far, and Craig Treble for loaning me this awesome motorcycle, but we're going to take this Chrysler Financial machine all the way to the winner's circle. And yes, sir, Klaus Enterman, this motorcycle will win. We will win for Chrysler Financial.
Maybe the rider with the biggest chunk of a stake in this semifinal is Andrew Hines, the winner of the K&N Clash, and you can almost taste that money, I bet.
Yeah, it's getting pretty close. We're in the semis now. We just had a great race between me and G. I think he popped up a Red Bull, but we both got down there, and, man, it was heads up for that pass. I just can't wait to go this next round and see if I can beat Sean Gann.
And if he goes all the way, gets the double-up bonus. Parker?
Bill Whit Basemore's funny car's been back in the pits just under 20 minutes. Whit Bazemore packing the chutes, and as we look down the length of this funny car, the team already assembling the new engine. The thing that amazes me is the pace. Although we call it a thrash, teams like Larry Dixon's, team like Whit Bazemore, it's a very organized, choreographed dance. There really isn't a thrash, just intense work. You can see the heads, intake manifold, already back on the engine, as well as the clutch going together. Supercharger already rebuilt. This whole process, as Larry said earlier, only takes about 40 minutes, 45 to warm up. They want that extra time so they can start early, so if there's a problem, they can fix it. Dave?
I'm going to take your line, Parker. It's rinse and repeat. Same kind of story going on over here with Gary Selzy's team, where they have also made an engine change in anticipation of their semifinal matchup. You take a look at Gary, though. Keep in mind, this is the only man, or one of the only men in NHRA history to win in all 4 of the supercharged classes. That's both of the alcohol divisions as well as both of the nitro divisions. Got a top fuel Indy win. They came all the way back here in 1998 when he beat our own Mike Dunn in the final. But just adding your name to the U.S. Nationals list of guys that have won this in both categories, we saw that list earlier today. That's what's up for Gary Selzy today, and believe me, he is up for the challenge.
He had to mention that, didn't he, Mike?
Sorry, Mikey.
Yeah, I know. You're killing me.
How many top fuel finals have I been in? Oh, wait, that's your line.
Hey, let's talk about the winners in both nitro classes since we're on that subject. You can see Don Perdome with his 7 wins, 4 in funny car, 3 in top fuel. Ed McCullough, Kenny Bernstein, Jim Head. Will Gary Selzy join that group today? Well, we'll find out as the day progresses. When we come back, we'll take you back and turn the page in the history book of the Mac Tools U.S. Nationals as we celebrate the 50th anniversary of this great event. Stay with us.
U.S. Nationals. All it takes is all you've got.
Winning is everything.
And you can see the warm-up in the pit of Scott Coletta here at the 50th anniversary edition of the Mac Tools U.S. Nationals. And boy, they did not take long. Let's just listen in. Okay, Mike, everything seemed to be normal on that?
Sweet.
And the fans seem to love it as well. Look at them. So as they wrap up work there, let's get a preview on funny car. Hey, Brief, you're up.
Down with Gary Selzy, fresh out of warming up the Oakley Hemi here for this next round. Top Fuel got the U.S. Nationals title already. How nice would it be to win a funny car 1-2?
No, it'd be huge. You know, Indy has such meaning, and to do it in a funny car, there's only been a couple of guys do it. You know, I know McCullough's won it in a bunch in funny car and dragster, but for me to do it, you know, I don't know if we can catch force or not, but that give us a little bit more life. But it's just huge. You know, Mike Neff has done such a great job, and these guys in the Oakley team, they work their hearts out. They live here, they've been here, their families are here. This is almost like winning at Pomona, but bigger.
Racing the Cruiser.
Yeah, Cruiser Stout. I mean, he's a champ, too. He's the only one to knock force up. There's no dogs here. It's just like the Skull Shootout. Everybody here can swing the bat for the fence. In fact, Mike Neff made a joke about it last night at dinner. He says, I'm going to go like this. And we raced force when I went through the water. He pointed towards the fence, and I got on the radio. I was cracking up. we're trying to keep it light, but we're here with serious business, baby. Let me tell you, Dodge spends a lot of money in Mopar, and we love them, and we're putting their money to use.
Batter up. It's semifinal time.
And we've got to take a commercial break. And when we come back, it'll be time for Top Fuel semifinals. Tony Schumacher, he's won here the last 2 years in a row. Can he become the second man ever in the history of Top Fuel to win 3 in a row?
I'm two-time U.S. Nationals champ Larry Dixon, and this is another U.S. Nationals memory. 1967. After failing to qualify for the first 2 national events of the season, Big Daddy Don Garlitz vowed not to shave his beard until he ran in the 6-second zone. He got that first ever run in the 6s when he needed it the most in the finals of the 67 U.S. Nationals. 20,000 fans watched as Rip Van Garlitz finally shaved that beard off in the winner's circle. I'm Larry Dixon, and it happened at the U.S. Nationals in 1967.
And boy, you talk about a wild weekend for Big Daddy as you take a look at that car. At one of the 50 that are on display. He left here Thursday to go back to take care of his museum, and then came back here after battening down the hatches. So it was good to see Big. Now let's check in with Parker. He's with Cruz Pedregon.
Cruz Pedregon's won the U.S. Nationals 3 times. Cruz, you know how important a win here is for a driver's career. Why are you so good at this event?
Well, preparation, you know, Parker, we come here with a focus to win the race. We put in the effort, and luckily Advanced Auto Parts gives me the budget to test and do the things. And hey, I really can't put my finger on it. You're only as good as your last race, so I'll believe that we're really good here if we can get by Selzy. You know, we still have some good cars to face before we get to pull off the victory. But hey, we're in the semi. It's a great day for Advanced Auto Parts, and we're just going to try to keep going.
You mentioned Gary Selzy. How big is this round as a deterrent to your 4th win?
Well, I mean, Gary Sells is a formidable opponent, and, you know, it could go either way. He has a good car. That Oakley Hemi car is a good car, and Gary's a good driver. So, but really, I have to take it like any other race and just do what I do my routine. And, you know, if it's in the cards, it's in the cards. So really can't push too hard. You know, it's a big race, but a lot of pressure here. But really, it's about doing your thing, stay in your routine, stay within yourself. And like I said, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be.
Marty, they all say it's just another race, but we know better.
Yeah, we certainly do, Parker. And you want to talk about how important it is to 3 of our racers? Well, think about this. The second-generation guys are still in. We talked about it earlier today. Tony Schumacher, Larry Dixon, Jeg Coughlin. Their fathers raced here. In fact, Don Schumacher won in funny car. And you see the numbers that Tony, Larry, and Jeg have racked up, and they're still in it as we are in the semifinal action. Now, we also want to tell you about Show Your Spirit Day. It's in conjunction with ESPN's 25th anniversary. Wear your favorite team's apparel to work, and in exchange, each participant can make a donation of $5 or more to the V Foundation to benefit cancer research. Anyone can participate. Just log on to jimmyv.org. All right, let's show you our Top Fuel ladder presented by Lucas Oil, and you'll see that Larry Dixon has the lane choice over our pole sitter, Doug Coletta, and that will be the first matchup we'll look at, and then Tony Schumacher and Scott Coletta will come to the line. And there is Larry Dixon, as engines have yet to come to life. Gives us a little chance to talk about performance and also get your thoughts, Mike, about with this Top Fuel semifinal.
Well, I mean, you got the best cars in the semifinal here. Both the Coletta cars, Scott and Doug and Larry. And Larry Dixon and Tony Schumacher have basically owned Indy all through the 2000s. This is a good matchup right here. I mean, Doug Coletta really needs to get this win to keep his hopes alive in the Powerade Championship because he's fighting it out with Tony Schumacher. But Larry Dixon, let me tell you right now, he's only thinking one thing. He's not going to win the championship, but if he can't do that, by God, he wants to win the U.S. Nationals.
Let's bring in Parker.
Marty, I'm very fortunate in my position as a pit reporter to check in with all the drivers and the teams in between rounds and have done so for the last few years. I get to know their habits, their routines, kind of how they work in between these rounds of eliminations. Early this morning, I can tell you that everybody was a little bit more focused, a little bit more intense, if that's possible, than they normally are. They all became relaxed as they advanced in the second round, but going back into the semifinal, checking in with Whit Bazemore, Gary Selzy, Scott Coletta, the other drivers, you can see they are amped up. I don't care what they say and what they're trying to pretend, this is the U.S. Nationals.
Legends have come to life on our first Top Fuel semifinal. Larry Dixon and Doug Coletta. Bill Stevens.
Well, back in 1970, Don Schumacher won the U.S. Nationals in his Stardust Barracuda. His son, Tony, has won this race 3 times. But this could be the all-time greatest day for Schumacher racing, because if you take a look at the eliminations ladders in 3 categories, Don Schumacher could pull off a triple. Top Fuel, funny car, and pro stock motorcycle. We'll have to wait a little while to see if that happens.
And there is Don Schumacher. His Top Fuel entry with son Tony will be up next. Talk a little bit about the pressure that is on Doug Coletta. If you were with us earlier today, you heard us talk about the fact that only Juan Coletta has ever been to a final at the Big Go, let alone won it. And that was Connie back in '94. He went on to win. And as far as coming off the pole, well, only 2 times in 42 years has the pole sitter ever won the Big Go in Top Fuel. And Doug Coletta is our pole sitter. For Larry Dixon, well, he's won this race twice. He knows what it's like to taste the champagne and the Miller Lite in the winner's circle.
And even though Doug Coletta was #1 qualifier, Larry Dixon, during qualifying, had the best car, especially when the sun was out. Doug was a little bit better in the evening session, but when the sun was out, this Miller Lite car was going down the racetrack. So was Doug. But Larry was running better numbers in the same conditions, and Larry does have lane choice if that makes a difference right now.
Heard these racers talk about what it means to win this event. You've got to win the semifinal to get to the final elimination stage. Here we go. Dixon's up in smoke. And the second Coletta to go to a Top Fuel final at the Big Go is Doug. And now the question will be, will it be an all Coletta final? Here you see Doug's numbers, 4.62 seconds at 3:15.
Wow.
Hey, isn't that what we said?
Let's watch Larry Dixon. I mean, this was a good pass.
Good job. Final round bound, Dougie.
I mean, as we watched Doug Coletta get out here, I mean, this was a very good run by Doug Coletta. Larry was on a good run. I mean, he had a couple hundreds off the starting line. Now, if we watch on super slow-mo, as the car launches, I mean, he had, like I said, almost 200ths of a second off the starting line. The car was accelerating pretty good. Even at 330, was still ahead, but then right there, started spinning the tires. He backpedaled one time, started to haze the tires again, put the cylinders out. At this point, Doug Coletta was on a great pass to run a 462 and get into the final.
And there is the very disappointed Larry Dixon as we go back to the starting line to get ready for the next semifinal. The burnouts are complete. Let's go to the far end of Bill.
Why don't you tell America what it's like to go to your very first Mac Tools U.S. Nationals final?
Yeah, I tell you, what a relief to get by that round. Larry is obviously very tough out here, and yep, I got it. So I can take that one. But yeah, just Connie, Coletta, Ron Tobler, you know, those guys tuned this thing up good, and we got by Larry, and car left good and straight and strong the whole way. So you know, just hoping to have a good final here.
Can you share what Larry just whispered to you?
He said, I know my role now, which is obviously to beat whoever wins this thing. So.
Just showing some respect here to a gentleman who's been out here a long time and may win his very first race in Indy.
And who is he going to face? Will it be that man right there, Tony Schumacher, trying to make it 3 straight finals here at Indy? The last Top Fuel driver to do that was Big Daddy Don Garland, 84 through 1986. Or will Scott Coletta make it to his first ever final at the Big Go and make it an all-team Coletta final?
Well, Tony's had the car pretty much all day. That 455 in the first round and 460 in the second round was just killer runs. But I'll tell you, don't count out Scott Coletta. We just saw his cousin Doug run a 462 in that right lane. He doesn't have lane choice, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with that lane.
Schumacher's written another page of history. He is into the final for the 3rd straight year. And if he can win it, he would become only the 2nd man ever to win 3 in a row. And that guy is Big Daddy Don Garland. Let's go to Dave Reef. He's with Larry Dixon.
Oh, believe me, Larry Dixon very desperately wanted to win the 50th anniversary Mac Tools U.S. Nationals, but he will not. Larry, you shared a very private moment with Doug. Can you tell us what you told him?
I told him he knows his role. It's like it's all in his court, man. If he's chasing for the title, he's got to go out there and win the race. That'll help his cause with the deal. And we're all Mac Tool buddies, and he's the Mac Tool guy in the Mac Tool race. So, you know, I got to wish him luck. We battle on the track, but when it's all said and done, you know, we're neighbors because, 2 weeks from now, I'm going to be parked right next to him at Reading.
Touch of class. Inside, he is dying, I guarantee you. And let's go to Bill.
Tony Schumacher, another final round. Can you possibly explain why it is that you and this race seem to go so well together?
I'll tell you what, that one right there was luck. I can explain that. We obviously spun the tires down there, put a little oil out of it, but you know what? Army team's going to another final round. We got all the Golden Knights here that jumped in, all the soldiers. I don't know, man. If everyone could pick one lucky track, Indy, it's the one I'm going to pick, man, each and every time. Army guys are great. These guys did a lot of work. Apparently, they're going to have a lot of work for this round, too.
In his very first trip to Indianapolis in 1996, Tony Schumacher, a young kid driving for the Peak Brothers, went to the final round and run it up to Corey Mack.
And there is the matchup for the final. It will be lane choice to Doug Coletta over Tony Schumacher and the Army of One. And as we take a look at the huge throng here, let's check in now with Dave Reef. I think he's caught up with Scott Coletta.
Scott, what can you say, man?
Hey, at least we got one car in the final. Been awesome if it was 2 Coletta cars, but hey, at least one's there.
It would have been history. No team cars have ever matched up in a Top Fuel final at Indy. We've got to take a commercial break. When we come back, it will be Funny Car semifinals. Engines have come to life, 8,000 horsepower apiece, and that is Cruz Pedregon. That is Gary Scelzi, the first of our Funny Car semifinals. Scelzi trying to make it to his first ever Funny Car final at the Big Go. And there is Cruz Pedregon, who we've already talked about, has won this event 3 times. And he has got lane choice over Scelzi, and so does Whit Bazemore over Gary Dencham, who's trying to double up. More on that after we take a look at this matchup with Gary and Cruz.
We heard Gary Scelzi talk about staging deep in the previous round. Now, what he means by that is when you put on that stage light or the bottom bulb on the top of the Christmas tree, you have about 11 inches that you can play with. And when the drivers say they punch her in deep or roll her in, that means that instead of stopping at 11, having 11 inches, they may roll it in, maybe only have 5 or 6 inches. What that does is it gives you a better reaction time, which allows him to get the react time win. There's the stage light is on the bottom there. So and if they go far enough with that top light out, that means they're at least 7 inches in deeper, and they only have 4 inches. And so that allowed him to win on a hole shot. But because of that, it also takes off your lap time, and he lost lane choice to Cruz Pedregon. I don't think it's that big of a difference, but that did happen.
Avery?
Marty, you just saw the eyes of Larry Dixon, Scott Coletta. You saw their body language. Gracious in defeat, but very, very upset. That should just give you an idea how big this race is and how tough this sport of drag racing is. You hear it all the time in NASCAR. Hey, feel good to finish 12th today. Had a top 15 car. That's not the way over here, Mike Dunn. You either win or you don't.
Both in smoke. And Cruz is going to his first final here at the Big Go since 1995. He's going to have a chance to take on win number 4 at Indy. Let's go to Parker.
Jaron Pedregon, you have waited so long to try to get to a final again where you can win. And what better place in the U.S. Nationals?
Oh, this is great. I mean, it's all worth it if we had to wait for the Nationals. That's great. If we could win this, it would be wonderful.
You just cheered like you won.
Oh, just getting into the final is like winning. This is great. Thank you.
So wife Sharon is happy. I guarantee you Cruz is ecstatic as he is climbing out of the cockpit of the Advanced Auto Parts Monte Carlo. He will be talking to Bill momentarily, and there is a frustrated Gary Scelzi. Uh-oh, wait a minute. We've got problems here. Selzy's not happy about something. Let's listen.
All right.
Well, we saw this in Pro Stock Bike. You don't think this event means anything to these guys?
All right, Cruz. Catch your breath. Tell us, what's this all about?
Well, guys are getting all excited down here. It's emotional, but car was on fire. I was pedaling. I was in a hell of a fight with Selzy trying to get the car to recover, and it over-revved and but blew the motor up. I had fire going on, and I'm pulling in here fast to try to get to the safety people quick. I pulled in a little quicker than I normally do, but I'm following guys' instructions, and I think I hit Selzy's car, and it was Selzy a little upset. He's a professional. I know he'll cool down. I've been there before, but for Advanced Auto Parts, boy, to tell you what, a final round, it feels really good, but I definitely had to pedal it, and it's like a sprint car race out here. We're out here tagging. But anyway, good job, Advanced Auto Parts. We're in the final.
Actually, what happened, the wind billowed Cruz's chute, and it caught on the side of Gary Selzy's car. The cars didn't make contact, Dave.
Gary, just a whole lot of confusion down here about getting in this place, and obviously the frustrations of the U.S. Nationals. But what happened?
Well, I don't know what happened. The thing got out there and it smoked the tires and went crazy. But when you get down here, somebody needs to know what's going on. They want you to stop. I could have stopped on the track. I got 2 chutes. It's not a problem. But anyway, congratulations to Cruz, but we need some help down here, not minimum wage dummies.
So Gary upset about what happened at the far end of the racetrack, and you heard Bill describe it, that the chute apparently caught on the car, and Gary, of course, making reference to who's giving him the directions as to when to turn and who should turn in first. But let's turn our attention back to the starting line, because you've got Whit Bazemore, Gary's teammate, trying to get into the finals up against Gary Dencham, who is trying to go for the double-up bonus. Remember, he won $100,000 yesterday in the Skull Showdown. If he wins this event, it's another $50,000.
Boy, would that be great for Gary Dencham. How excited would he be? I mean, he was pumped up winning the race yesterday, and then to be able to win this would be something.
Well, now the conversation is still going on at the far end of the racetrack, and I think, yep, it looks like Gary's cooling down now, and I think he understands it wasn't Cruz's fault.
Well, I think once he understood that he was on fire and he's trying to get the fire people, I don't think anybody was at fault with that, because Cruz had to turn a little bit faster, and the guy probably just wasn't ready. It's just one of those things that happens. So.
That's exactly right, Mike. Cruz just had to make that turn, had to pull it right in front of Gary, and that's what happened.
Bazemore's up in smoke. And Dencham, for the first time in his career, is going to the final at the Mac Tools U.S. Nationals. Parker.
Jimmy Brock, you told me just before this run you wanted to pretend this wasn't the U.S. Nationals, but it is, and you could walk away with $250,000.
Yeah, I know, it's great. You know, we've done great so far this weekend, and I was really concerned. You know, I struggled yesterday when the track was this warm, and I just needed to try to make sure it went down there.
You can't pretend this isn't the U.S. Nationals.
No, you can't.
You're darn right you can't. Now, we've talked about it. I mean, this is a huge payday, but I'm going to tell you something. I don't think he is even worried about the money. The money will take care of itself. He wants to win the trophy. Let's go back and take another look.
There's no question about it. Look at Whit, boy, dejected big time. I mean, he's won this race a few times. He knows what it's like. Same problem he's been having. I mean, it looked like they had a handle the first couple of rounds. The car launches pretty good. Just started to rattle the tires, goes into tire smoke. Whit tries to backpedal, but at this point, Gary Dencham is hooked up and on his way into the final.
Let's go to Bill.
Hey, you've been on TV more this weekend than Jerry Lewis.
Yeah, well, I'm not near as funny, I'll guarantee you that, but I'm just happy to be here.
And on the threshold of winning the U.S. Nationals, Gary Dencham.
Oh, boy, that would be something I'd never, ever, ever forget. But, you know, I bet you right now Tom Compton's not my best fan. He might be rooting a little bit against me, but by God, I'm going to make him pay that $50,000 for Auto Club Ford and AAA and, you know, everybody. You know, we've all worked hard as a team over there. I hope we can pull it off.
NHRA President Tom Compton might have to dig a little deep, Dave.
Whit Bazemore coming over to congratulate Gary Dencham. Obviously disappointment. Whit, it goes without saying.
Well, yeah, you know, it's Indy, and, you know, I guess today the thing that right now, this moment is we've won this race before, but it doesn't, you know, it doesn't mean that much right now. What means the most is to win it a third time, and you know, the guys just did a tremendous effort all weekend, and you know, we ran well in the heat. It bit us in the semifinals, but Lee and the guys, we make great progress with the Matco Tools Dodge, and all you distributors out there, man, we're fighting. Don't give up on us, all right? Thank you.
Read between the lines again, Marty. Utter disappointment.
Oh, yeah. And let's take a look at the matchup. It will be Gary Dencham with the lane choice, courtesy of that 4.93 second elapsed time. We've got to take a commercial break. When we come back, it'll be time for the semifinals in Pro Stock. Can Greg Anderson continue his march to the history book? Stay with us to find out. Back here at the 50th edition of the Mac Tools U.S. Nationals, it's time for the factory hot rods in Pro Stock. And first up, it will be Kenny Koretsky coming right at you, and Mike Edwards over in the right lane. Let's take a look at our Pro Stock ladder presented by Lucas Oil. Greg Anderson has lane choice, and Kenny Koretsky has the lane choice. Koretsky has decided to go in to that left lane up against Mike Edwards. Now, think about this. You want to talk about nerves. Mike Edwards has won here before. In fact, he's looking to go to his second Indy final. But if you're Kenny Koretsky right now, the butterflies in your stomach must be huge. This is his 159th NHRA event. He has never been to a final ever, let alone the big go.
You know, and it doesn't take much to get Kenny excited either. And I'll guarantee you, this is doing it right now. But he's up to this point, he's done a great job. He's got a car, definitely has a shot at winning it, but he's going to have to get around Mike Edwards. Mike Edwards also has a very good car this weekend. Parker?
Problems in that last round for Mike Edwards. They hurt their good motor, the A motor. They've had to put the B motor in. Very unusual for Pro Stock to change engines in between those rounds, so they're keeping their fingers crossed. Bill?
Kenny's been around the sport a long time. The only driver in history to qualify in Top Fuel and Pro Stock at the same event back in the late 1980s. He's been down the road and back a few times. This would be big for him.
Well, and we had a shot while Parker was talking. Larry Morgan is down on the line. He supplies the horsepower for Kenny Koretsky, and even though it was Kenny that put Larry out of the event, he is there supporting his man. There is Larry. Neither car is pre-stage. They're both taking their time.
Yeah, I mean, they both really want to be focused on this. Obviously, you can't, you know, stress the importance of this race, but want to make sure everything's just right. Check that wheelie bar height, so when that car launches, hopefully it goes straight down that quarter mile and into the final round.
Advantage Koretsky. And Kenny Koretsky is going to his first ever Pro Stock final with a 6.84 second run at 201 miles an hour, and he's doing it in style. He's doing it at the U.S. Nationals.
Great job by Kenny Koretsky. Eddie G and the boys really got this thing marching down there. Kenny did his job on the starting line. There's the margin of victory into the finals of the U.S. Nationals.
There he is at the far end of the racetrack, probably trying to absorb the moment a little bit as we come back to the starting line and get ready for Jake Coughlin against Greg Anderson. We're talking about guys that not only have won this race, they've won championships. Greg, the defending Powerade champion. Jag, a two-time Powerade champion.
Two drivers that know how to drive with the pressure on. I mean, there's nobody better than Jag Coughlin, and Greg Anderson this year I think has come into his own. Even though he's had the car all year, he's also been driving very, very well.
The last four Indy winners in this class are on the starting line right now, and it seems like they flip-flop every other year, and it's the even years for Coughlin, the odd years for Greg. Well, will it hold pattern? Advantage Jag. But the win light to Greg Anderson. He drives around him with a 6.83 second elapsed time at 202 miles an hour. And the dream of winning number 13 in a single season and doing it at the big go is still alive.
There's a margin of victory, just under 7 thousandths of a second.
Let's go on board with Greg.
There he is running through the gears. He was behind at this point, and then the horsepower kicked in, and he drove around and just barely got the win with that fist pump that we see so often this year.
Let's go as you look at Kim's reaction. Greg's wife. Let's go to Bill.
Well, if I may say, this is one of the most popular drivers on the ESPN crew. We always love talking to you, and you're going to the final round. I know you've got a very special lady at home that's going to love every minute of this, Kenny.
Oh, yeah, this is great. U.S. Nationals, we made it to the final round. Karen's at home watching. I said I wasn't going to do this. I want to thank all the guys at Larry Morgan's shop, Eddie Granacci, Jerry Ekman. They do a great job. Nitro Fish. I hope we can win one for Dodge and Mopar because they're due.
And win one for Karen.
Thank you.
We've got to take commercial break. The emotion, it runs deep in this race. Pro Stock Bike, when we come back, Greg Anderson's got the lane choice. Oh, the engines have been fired on the two-wheel version of Pro Stock. This is Pro Stock Bike, and we've got Antron Brown and Chris Bostic coming to the line. Here's the Pro Stock Bike ladder, and you can see that Andrew Hines and Brown, Antron, have the lane choice in our two semifinals. Chris Bostic in his first semifinal ever. Talk about pressure. Here it is at the biggest single event of the year on the NHRA Powerade Drag Racing Series calendar. It's only his second race of 2004. Antron Brown, well, he's won this thing before. Back in 2000. Dead even. And the Army of One does it again. 7.19 seconds. Teammate Angel Savoie has her hands in the air, clapping for Antron as he takes the win and ends the dream of Chris Bostic.
Wow, this was a much better for Antron. His best run of the day. Last round, he picked up about 1/10 of a second. They hit the combination just right. Crew chief Mike Pizer really got the bike working good down low, which is a key on these bikes. You got to get that 60-foot launch. They have good horsepower, but if you don't get the thing bike to launch right, it's not going to make any difference. But that time it did, and he's in the final round.
Let's put a period on Pro Stock, Dave. Or Bill.
It is Dave, and it's
Okay,
with Greg
Dave.
Anderson. Greg, I've seen you about never that fired up after a semifinal win. Then again, it's Indy.
I'm telling you, that's Jake Coughlin in the other lane. I've told people before how much I respect that guy. He's awesome. That right there is for the Summit Racing Equipment employees. That one's for you guys. The next one's hopefully for me. But Pontiac, Redline Oil, can't thank you guys enough. This is the 50th annual Mac Tools U.S. Nationals, and I've got a chance to break that record. 13 wins a year. Here we go, baby. Yeah.
Big drama on the starting line right now. You've got in the left lane, Andrew Hines trying to join his brother Matt as an Indy finalist, but in the right lane, Sean Gann trying to go to 4 straight finals. And look at this. 004 reaction times on both bikes. Who's got the horsepower? The win light to Sean Gann. 7.26 seconds. There will be no double up bonus in Pro Stock Bike. Sean takes it. He's going to his 4th straight final. Will he finally seal the deal? And now he's having trouble getting the bike slowed down. He does make the turn. Go back and take a look. 46 10,000th of a second. There's the margin at the stripe as Sean Gann takes out points leader Andrew Hines.
Come over me, baby.
Let's go to Bill.
Antron Brown, the first words out of your mouth when you heard that Sean Gann had won was, we gained 20 points.
Yeah, you know, the Vance and Hines group, can't take nothing away from them. They've been doing a great job. Andrew just won a dash. He's truly all-star. But it's great to bring just to see, you know, some enthusiasm with the U.S. Army. We got the Golden Knights guys here in the background pumping us up. And the U.S. Army, my team, is doing an awesome job. We just put a new bullet in and won a 19. So we're looking forward for this final round against Sean. And, you know, I just can't thank him enough for Schumacher Racing, the U.S. Army, and all the troops across the seas. This was for you. Huh?
Al Schumacher in line for a double, perhaps, today. Dave?
Sean Gann going to do everything in his power to make sure he doesn't finish in the runner-up spot here 4 consecutive years.
Man, I've been a runner-up here too many times. Mac Tools, they want me to win this so bad. I've been here so many years. The runner-up just ain't going to cut it this time, Jack.
Beating them Harleys.
Whoa, I'm going to tell you what. That's sweet. That's sweet.
It is sweet for Sean Gann, but as he says, it's not complete yet because he wants to win the Wally. And it will be the lane choice going to Antron Brown with his 7.19 in the Pro Stock Bike final. as we check in now with Parker Johnstone.
Marty, drama on the track, drama in the pits. Combined crews of Cruz Pedregon and Tony Pedregon trying to get Cruz's car not only turned around, but the fire damage repaired. We talk about a thrash. This is a thrash. We saw the pacing of the other teams. This is excitement in between the rounds. Will Cruz Pedregon get ready for the U.S. Nationals Finals? Possibly his 4th win? Stay tuned.
Winners are crowned all season, but legends are made of the U.S. Nationals.
And this is the 50th edition of the Mac Tools U.S. Nationals, and we are getting oh so close to the finals here at Indianapolis Raceway Park. First off, we want to tell you about Tuesday night, because at 9 Eastern, it's the 2004 World Series of Poker. It's main event, No Limit Hold'em World Championship, presented by Miller Lite on ESPN, 9 Eastern. For more, log on to ESPN.com. I can't tell you how much excitement there is in the air right here, because all of the nostalgia cars, all 50 of them are being brought out onto the racetrack for a cackle fest. And if you have never been involved in one of these at an NHRA national event, they are really something. All these beautiful cars coming on out onto this track, and they'll line literally the whole quarter mile on both sides. Now we've got to talk about the Castrol Star of the Day. This is the best reaction times in each of our four pro categories. Greg Stanfield was almost perfect in round number 1 in Pro Stock. Sean Gann and Andrew Hines shared the honor in their semifinal matchup, which Sean won. Doug Coletta in round number 1 at Top Fuel, and Gary Dencham in round number 2 in Funny Car. Let's check in with our pit reporters, find out what's happening. Bill Stevens, you're up first.
The hand of destiny has always been on Tony Schumacher here at this race. Back in 1996, the Top Fuel great Blaine Johnson was killed in qualifying. Had he lived, he would have faced Tony Schumacher in the first round. Tony came up to the starting line by himself. His fuel pumps hung up, and he took that as a sign. He didn't turn them on and idled down the racetrack to a standing ovation. And now, 8 years later, Tony Schumacher's on the verge of winning his 3rd straight U.S. Nationals, and his tuner, Blaine Johnson's brother, Alan Johnson.
Bill, in Funny Car, Gary Dencham. Not too many people have been at this game longer than him, but today he stands at the pinnacle of his career with a huge opportunity. What took this man 243 attempts to get his first national event win? He could get the biggest single win of his career by doubling up and winning the Mac Tools U.S. Nationals to go along with that Skull Showdown victory yesterday. The team has made an engine change, and keep in mind, not only do they have Jimmy Prock, but they have Austin Coyle, Bernie Federley, John Medlin, behind one of drag racing's longest driving funny car guys, one of the best men out here, Gary Dencham. He says he's having more fun than should be allowed. Parker?
Dave, Greg Anderson has obliterated every performance pro stock record. He's gone faster. He's gone quicker. He's won more races in the category than anyone else in history. His name is being compared to legends like Bob Glidden, Warren Johnson, and today, if he should win, his name will be compared to the legend John Force, winning as many races in one season in any category as anyone except that legend John Force. For Greg Anderson, what better place to make some history than the U.S. Nationals?
He is going for his 13th victory of this season. That would be the mark that would tie him with John and break the pro stock single season record. But he's also been very generous. He's given first-time wins to Jason Line, his teammate, and Dave Conley. And could it be Kenny Koretsky getting his first ever win? Well, that's why we run the race. Oh, wow. I don't know if you recognize the orange car right there. That is Larry Dixon Sr. And you wonder where Larry Jr. got his love for the sport. You're looking at it right there. He told us earlier how he and the family would pack up into the truck that they had with the tag-along trailer in the car and barely any room to put anything. But they've come 3 days from California to make it to the big go at the U.S. Nationals. What a great piece of history. Stay with us. We're coming right back.
U.S. Nationals. All it takes is all you've got.
Winning is everything.
Well, take a look at this. This is Larry Dixon Sr. and Jr. at the Cackle Fest at the 50th running of the Mac Tools U.S. Nationals, and that is the famous Howard M. Rattler. What a great sight. Time to hand out the wallies. We started with 123 professionals. We are down to 8 in 4 professional categories. Who is going to take home the hardware? It's time to find out now. We're going to focus first, of course, on Pro Stock Bike, and you are looking at Sean Gann. And he has changed the colors. He has gone to blue.
Hey, he doesn't clash now.
And you can see his road to the final. This is his 4th straight year in the Pro Stock Bike final. He has vowed not to be the runner-up for 4 years in a row. He's going to have to get past Antron Brown. And there is Antron's road to the final. He has won here before in 2000. And the thing to remember is this is a big tool war. Remember, this is the Mac Tools U.S. Nationals. Well, Sean is a Mac Tools rider. And, of course, Antron rides for Matco. A lot of bragging rights at stake for those companies.
No question about it. And Sean Gann had that 004 light. That's 4 thousandths of a second from perfect. Or put it another way, 5 thousandths of a second from red light, and he's going to need to get a good reaction time, but they're going to have to be careful. Remember, these Pro Stock bikes react very quickly, and there's a possibility you could definitely see a red light when all the pressure is on the line in the final round of the U.S. Nationals.
Well, he lost to Angel Savoy twice, and last year to Reggie Showers on a hole shot. Here we go. The Pro Stock Bike Final at the 50th Mac Tools U.S. Nationals. And Gann is taking his time, moving into the beam.
Want to make sure the bike was lined up straight.
Gann with a slight advantage. And the win to Antron Brown. 7.21 seconds. He drives around Sean and hands Gann his 4th straight defeat in the finals of the Mac Tools U.S. Nationals. Parker?
Mark Pizer, crew chief on that bike. You guys have been going to finals, but I know the last week and a half have been rough. You've been up all night long getting those motors ready for this.
Man, we've got an awesome team. We've been back to the shop 2 or 3 times fixing motors. This is the U.S. Nationals, Parker. This is the best thing for the U.S. Army, Don Schumacher, General Rochelle, General Cabot. This is awesome.
Second race in a row where Antron is going
Showed up, qualified pretty well on Friday and Saturday. Thought, well, hey, we got a chance of it.
Both cars labored, but it was Del Worsham going up in smoke first. So Gary Dencham does advance.
Actually got pretty lucky in the first couple rounds. Smoked tires. The other cars ran, pretty good, but they smoked tires too, so we were able to win. Going into the final round with John Force, where they go, well, not only is this our boss, but he's running a lot better than we are.
Gary Dencham of AAA, he knows how much I love him. And I'm coming after you, Denchy.
A great drag race, and Gary Dencham and Jimmy Crockett got it.
I remember thinking, God, I'm so happy to do it. And I looked over at Force, I thought, did I just get fired by winning this race?
Dencham, you're still fired.
But, John being the type of guy he is, of course, he gets a check anyway. He was all happy for us.
He's a good man. I'm very proud of him, what he's done for us.
Unlike winning other races, when you were in the showdown, the whole crowd is still there. So as we passed in front of this grandstand, I'm thinking, here's 100,000 people on their feet cheering Gary Dencham. I've never seen anything like that. It was almost like being in a daze with all those spectators, all those fans and the media to be able to win that race. And yet, in some ways, in all ways actually, as great as that is, and having to work all year long to be able to qualify for it, the biggest payday of any race in our entire circuit, it's still not winning the U.S. National, because that's going to go down in history forever, especially the 50th anniversary.
It took over 3 decades for Gary Dencham, but he has finally done it. He takes home the sport's biggest prize, the Mac Tools U.S. Nationals Funny Car Championship, and a $250,000 payday.
Gary Dincham, let me tell you something. There's a guy that's proved it 30 years of being a pro, and all he needed was a good race car. And to go out here and win and then to double up, only a few have ever done that.
I don't even think it really actually set in until a day later when I was driving home in the motorhome. I think we were someplace in Oklahoma, and all of a sudden I just pulled over the side of the road, and I looked at my wife and I said, you realize we won not only the Skull Showdown, but the 50th anniversary U.S. Nationals. I mean, how can life be any better?
I just don't know what to say. I mean, I'm just so happy been coming here. I came here 25 years ago with $10 in my pocket, didn't have a chance of qualifying, wanted to be part of the U.S. Nationals, and finally got to win one.